Michigan football will be playing a live game today in the Big House, 40 degrees and windy in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as the Michigan Wolverines will play a blue versus Maize game today in front of a decently full crowd as fans get their first glimpse into the 2024 Michigan football team. Welcome, everyone. Jake Singer with you alongside TJ Fossmeyer. So glad to have you all along as we get you ready for Michigan football right here on WCBN Sports. 4 months after winning a national championship, the Wolverines have a completely new coaching staff, question marks at quarterback, and young guys looking to make a name for themselves. After former head coach Jim Harbaugh departed for the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL in the offseason, offensive coordinator Sharon Moore was appointed to lead this new team to destiny. The problem? Harbaugh took all of his coaches with him as Jesse Minter, Steve Klinkscale, Mike Elston, and Ben Herbert all went to L.A. with their head coach. In addition, Jay Harbaugh left for the Seahawks, and Mike Hart departed from the program. Because of this, Sharon Moore needed to hire a completely new staff, and he started with former New York Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. TJ, with all the coaching turnover, what should we expect to see from our head coaches for the game today, Wink Martindale against Kirk Campbell?
Well, I like the hire in Wink Martindale. He is the architect of the exact type of Michigan defense, their identity in the last 3 years that have led them to this success. He is the architect behind that. You know, the former defensive coordinator for the Giants, for the Ravens. I think this is just a natural move for this coaching staff as Minter left to follow Harbaugh, and then Wink Martindale comes in. It's just a natural fit going forward. And then on the other side for Kirk Campbell, I like the move as well. I think it adds another dynamic to this offense, you know, being the former quarterback coach here and then having some offensive coordinator experience at Old Dominion, who was always a group of five, you know, contender when he was at the helm of the offense. So I feel like he can just add another dimension. I want to look for, while, you know, the roster indicates a rush-heavy offense going forward, and I would expect that. I would also expect if he has weapons on the outside, he has a more balanced attack in the pass and the rush.
Yeah, today the Wolverines take on one another with a lot of question marks surrounding specifically the quarterback position. It'll be interesting to see how the staff divided up these players and what we can really expect to see from them. On one team, 4-team Maize, it'll be Jack Tuttle, Jaden Denegal, and Davis Warren, but we just got word that Jack Tuttle is undressed today, so he will not be probably playing much in this game. 4-team Blue, the quarterbacks are going to be Alex Orji and Jaden Davis. So, TJ, looking at how the coaching staff decided to divide up these quarterbacks, what can we really expect to see, probably first of which, from Alex Orji against Jaden Denegal?
Well, I would see, they're going to, Orji is the front runner for it right now. I would say among the fan base, among alumni, he is the front runner. He just adds another dynamic as far as his athleticism. And I know, you know, just to think about the distribution of quarterbacks on the Maize and the blue team, we were talking about this earlier. I'm surprised Orji and Davis were not paired up with offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell. So we're going to see how, you know, Wink Martindale, whoever's calling the offense for the blue team, see how they call plays with those weapons under center.
Well, we were saying also before the broadcast, you know, there's a lot of hype around true freshman, incoming freshman Jaden Davis. And he's going to be the number 2 guy behind Alex Orji today.
Right.
And he's going to get a lot of time, we're expecting, at least on the field today. What can we expect to see from Jaden Davis, who has been compared to possibly, you know, J.J. McCarthy at times?
Yeah.
He's been compared as a dynamic quarterback from other guys in the NFL, kind of like maybe has an arm like Joe Milton or the legs like Jalen Milroe. What can we expect to see from Jaden Davis today?
Well, I mean, you stole my punchline there. I do see a lot of J.J. McCarthy and Jaden Daniels just with that winning intangibles. He only lost twice in his high school career, 2 state titles there as well. And the way he has that strong pocket presence, you know, way he can improv out of the pocket as well when the play collapses, and, you know, throw on the run as well. You know, he's got that strong pocket presence, and he's a great passer, but he's got to fix some things. He has a tendency to stare down receivers, and he has a tendency to overthrow as well. So I want to see those kinks from high school, you know, get fixed as he has been injected into this Michigan system since he is enrolled in the winter.
Finally, TJ, before this game gets started, there's another really big battle going on the defensive side of the ball, and that's at the cornerback position. Obviously, the Wolverines have a guy like Will Johnson, who we will see today as the top cornerback. He's probably one of the best cornerbacks in the country to a lot of people. But outside of him, there's a lot of question marks on who's going to be that number 2 cornerback for this team. There's a battle between DJ Waller, Jair Hill, Keyshawn Harris. What can we expect to see from this competition today?
You know, and I like to see DJ Waller and Jair Hill, who I would say are 1 and 2 in the battle for CB2 opposite opposite of Will Johnson to get that other outside boundary. I like that Jair Hill and DJ Waller are on opposite teams. So we get to see them, battle. Jair Hill is in competition for that. He was in 4 games last year, 8 tackles. So in that limited time, he made an impact. And then for DJ Waller, I really like DJ Waller as a prospect. He's got great coverage skills. In 11 games, he made 12 tackles, and he's already made that impact as a freshman last season. And I look to him to make a jump going into his sophomore year this coming season.
The coin toss was just announced. The blue team will start with the ball first with Maize on defense. Some notable names to know, starting with the blue team offense. As we were saying, Alex Orji is probably going to get the start at quarterback. Tyler Morris, one of the wide receivers who was a big bright spot for J.J. McCarthy last year, will be on that team. Donovan Edwards and Benjamin Hall will be the 2 running backs for Team Blue. And then for the offensive line specifically, they have guys like Andrew Gentry, Giovanni El Hadi, Raheem Anderson, Josh Preeb, Connor Jones, a lot of really big names. But one guy that stands out to me, TJ, as I was just naming that offensive line, is Josh Preeb. Josh Preeb, one of the few transfers that came into the Wolverines from the transfer portal last season. Coming from Northwestern, was a 4-year player. He started pretty much fully 3 seasons. What can we start to see from one of those guys that's going to be a staple on the offensive line?
I think he has potential to be one of the most impactful transfers in the country. I think Michigan has been known for that, for those under-the-radar transfers like Josh Wallace from UMass, who is opposite the boundary, opposite corner, opposite of Will Johnson. He came in. I think Josh Preeb can do the same exact thing. He'll be the likely starter. He's probably one of 2 likely starters on this offensive line going forward for next season. So I look to him to continue the success he had from Northwestern, where he was a Big Ten, all Big Ten third team. I look for him to continue that this season.
Just about to get underway here in the Big House. Just waiting for the kickoff here. Number 90, Hudson Hollenbeck, will be the kickoff specialist for the Maize team. Deep back is Tyler Morris and Peyton O'Leary for the blue team. 2 wide receivers that will probably get a lot of action as Hollenbeck gets set. And we're underway here in the Big House. Some football right away off the bat as Peyton O'Leary lets the ball bounce into the end zone for a touchback. So Team Blue will have the ball first at the 25-yard line.
And then we see Alex Orji trot out, as you said. So he will be the starter for the blue team and, primary backup in the second half of the season. Used as a gadget. He had no pass attempts, so he's going to step in at quarterback with really no film on him as far as his arm talent. So we get to see firsthand here what that arm talent is, because you cannot question his athleticism, the way he was used in the Rose Bowl. He was used as a decoy oftentimes in the playoff. So here under center, we get to see his first attempt.
Wolverines start 5 wide. Now they bring in Max Bredesen as the fullback, Donovan Edwards in the backfield. Tyler Morris to the right side. First play is a handoff to Donovan Edwards, who sneaks through the hole, and he goes all the way down to the 35-yard line. That's good for a first down, and a first rush by Donovan Edwards goes for 10 yards.
And that was good vision from Donovan Edwards to find the gap in the offensive line. I know we were talking about that. He really needed to improve his vision. At ball carrier vision, he really did for a 10-yard gain.
The Team Blue has Andrew Gentry starting at right tackle. Raheem Anderson starting at center. Giovanni El Hadi's out there with Jake Gonera. Tyler Morris still out wide, right side. Second play action. Alex Orji rolling. Quick pass to Max Bredesen, but that's going to be incomplete. Max Bredesen, the fullback, tried to one-hand that one, was unable to corral it, so it'll be 2nd and 10 for Team Blue.
And on that rollout from Orji, just look at the accuracy on the move was not there on that one. Bredesen, tried half-heartedly to grab that one on one hand, but unfortunately just out of reach. So that's Alex Orji's first pass attempt as Wolverine in this one.
Wolverines now set up in the triple option. Donovan Edwards behind Orji. Max Bredesen to his left. Handoff to Donovan Edwards, who cuts up the middle again for a first down. Donovan Edwards good for another 11 yards, moving the sticks, and he'll get put down at the 46-yard line of Team Blue.
Man, great vision from Edwards so far. 2 runs plus 10 yards. And great start for Donovan Edwards. He's going to be seen as an anchor for this offense going forward.
Now we look quickly at Team Maize's defensive line. Josiah Stewart, Kenneth Grant, Cam Brandt, and TJ Guy are the front 4. What a ferocious line Team Maize has. Alex Orji sends Peyton O'Leary in motion. Takes a snap. He winds up to pass, and it's behind Tyler Morris. About a 20-yard attempt to Tyler Morris, and it was behind him. So 0 for 2 so far. Alex Orji is on the day, and they'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Man, that would have been a big play there for Orji. Morris was wide open and really had it beat, going across the field there, but it was just behind the throw from Orji. So again, 0 for 2. So we kind of see a shaky start from Orji in this one so far.
So 2nd and 10 now. Wolverines go with 2 wide receivers on the right side. Max Bredesen as the extra blocker. Donovan Edwards to the right of Orji as well. He's in shotgun formation. Here's a snap. He quickly sends it out to Tyler Morris on a screen pass. Morris makes one guy miss. He's still going, and he gets tackled from behind. That's going to be tackled by number 31 by Team Maize. Nico Andriaghetto, and that's a gain of 6 on the play.
Yeah, he made Jair Hill miss there. That's a good move by Tyler Morris, and we saw him, come into his own in the later half of the season. He came up big in the Rose Bowl from the big play as well. So I looked for him to take a big step, as an anchor for this receiving corps.
So 3rd and 4 now. Alex Orji under center. Max Bredesen behind him with Donovan Edwards behind him as well. I formation. Dale Chesson is the lone wide receiver. Handoff to Edwards, and he gets clobbered up right in the middle. Kenneth Grant and TJ Guy meet Donovan Edwards in the backfield for a loss of 1, and that'll bring up 4th down for Team Blue.
Yeah, it was really TJ Guy that got into Edwards, read that perfectly, and TJ Guy is really getting national buzz for this Wolverine program going forward. I look for him. He's highly regarded among players and coaches. I look for him to take a big step going forward on that edge rush.
So Team Blue will decide to go for it here. It's 4th and 3 on the 46-yard line of Team Maize. Alex Orji in shotgun formation. 2 wide receivers, 2 to his left, 1 to his right. Sends a guy in motion. Quickly has an out pass, and he gets it to Max Bredesen, who has the strong hands for the catch.
Wow.
Max Bredesen, the tight end fullback, was met with a lot of guys trying to tackle him, and he was able to hang on for that one for a 1st down for Team Blue.
I'm so happy to see it from Max Bredesen because he is one of the best blockers on this team. He's a great fullback, a great run blocker as well. To see those strong hands, and that's Orji's first completion on a good one to convert.
Jaden Hood was on the tackle there. Nonetheless, great pass and great catch for Max Bredesen. 1st down and 10 now for Team Blue on the 40-yard line. Alex Orji sends O'Leary in motion. He looks his way. He finds him, and a completed catch to Peyton O'Leary, who gets another 1st down for Team Blue down to the 29-yard line. That's good for an 11-yard gain. Another 1st down for Team Blue.
And that was on a dime from Orji. That's a hard throw to make, that out route. It's a great throw from Orji, and we're really seeing him get into a rhythm here. First converting on that 4th down and then coming up big after that.
Cody Jones on the tackle there. Peyton O'Leary, one of these guys that has been talked about a little bit more. He's going to have to get a lot of snaps in today. This wide receiver core is pretty thin behind the main guys in Frederick Moore, Samaj Morgan, and Tyler Morris. Looking for a new guy to step into that role. Could have been O'Leary. Handoff to Donovan Edwards. He tries to bounce to the right side. He does just that, and then he gets tripped up at the 19-yard line. Great play there by Jair Hill, number 20 on Team Maize. One of those guys, TJ, you were just talking about as a potential cornerback starter, and he tracked down Donovan Edwards from behind.
Yeah, that was a great ankle tackle there from Jair Hill because Edwards had it there for a touchdown. So that's good for him, as far as his candidacy, to be that corner outside of Will Johnson.
So we'll have 2nd and 4 now. Gain of 6 was for Donovan Edwards. Team Blue on the 22-yard line, just shy of the red zone. Tyler Morris lines up on the left side with Peyton O'Leary on the right. Donovan Edwards behind Orji, who takes it from underneath the snap. Donovan Edwards finds a hole, and he gets brought down by Ernest Hausman, one of the great linebackers that this Wolverine team has, brought over from Nebraska last season, had a fantastic year last year, and this year he's going to be the guy on defense.
Yeah, I totally agree. He will be that guy. He will likely be the guy behind Barham or with him as well. And, yeah, he's truly made an impact, his sophomore year last season and looking to make a big jump his junior year. Great play.
So 1st and 10 nonetheless. Donovan Edwards did get a first down on that carry. So 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Orji shotgun formation with Donovan Edwards next to him. 3 wide receivers out wide. Orji fakes the handoff to Edwards. He takes off and runs for it. He gets around 1 guy. He gets around 2, and he runs into the end zone for a touchdown. Alex Orji scores the first touchdown of the spring game and in the 2024 season for the Michigan Wolverines, and he juked out the entire Maize defense for that score.
See, and that's something with Alex Orji. You're never going to question his athleticism, his vision from under center. What a great play, great run from Orji, and he certainly made a statement in his first drive, leading the blue team to a score as he has the wrestler's belt as a celebration in that one, and that ate up 10 minutes of clock. So you're seeing the same kind of offensive identity from this Michigan Wolverine team, is that they're able to get down the field very efficiently and just eat up time, just that slow, methodic approach.
Orji got around Keyshawn Bennett there, making that first big cut as the extra points up and up, and it's good. Trying to see the number really fast. It's number 93 on Team Blue. That's Charlie Menser, the kicker and punter. He's a senior, 6'2". And so Menser knocks it through. So Team Blue leads Team Maize 7-0 behind an Alex Orji touchdown, juking out defenders left and right. And Alex Orji really showed off those wheels already in the first drive of the spring game.
Yeah, I mean, he also showed, the passing ability too a little bit. He kind of got off to a slow start, missing some of those easy throws, especially on the run. But he hit some really good out routes. He, hit Bredesen. His strong hands kept that one reeled in. So I think he showed everything, and that's exactly what this Michigan program, that's what Sharon Moore needed to see, because it's going to be a tough decision of who's going to be QB1 come August 31st when you got to go against Fresno State and then Texas to follow that.
So just about to get set here for the kickoff going the other way. Set back now for Team Maize, the kickoff returners, Samaj Morgan and Bryce Wilcox. Samaj Morgan took a lot of those kick returns at the end of last season. Wilcox getting some of his first action as a Wolverine. For Team Blue, Cordell Jones-McNally is the kickoff specialist, and he sends it underway. Morgan lets it go behind him, and that's deep in the end zone for a touchback.
And I'll be interested to see how Samaj Morgan is used this season, because he will likely be the wide receiver 1, but he does not play that outside position. He's usually used as a gadget. He's used in the slot. He's even used in the rushing attack as well. So I think with this new offensive regime and Kirk Campbell, he can get real creative with Samaj Morgan going forward this season.
As we now see the Maize offense taking the field. And the starting quarterback today for Team Maize is going to be Davis Warren.
Oh.
So Davis Warren gets first team reps. Jaden Denegal will follow him. In the backfield, it's going to be Kalel Mullings, one of the few also great bright spots of this Michigan offense, and he gets the handoff right away up the middle for a very short gain. So we see a lot of Michigan defensive linemen in that stack taking him down, one of which is Mason Graham, one of the top returning players this Michigan team has. Mason Graham is joined by Ike Iwana, Trey Pierce, and Rayshawn Benny as the interior defensive lineman for this Team Blue today. On the outside is Derek Moore and Americ Kumba. So another big name to get to know. Kumba has been spoken out very highly of through camp of spring. Warren drops back to pass, quickly under pressure, and he has to get it to Frederick Moore, incomplete.
And Barham really had a lane there. He got to took advantage and tacked quick. Good blitz from the transfer and Jayshawn Barnum there.
Jayshawn Barham, coming from Maryland, was a fantastic player for the Terrapins last season. He played a little bit with injury, but coming over to Wolverines, we were saying with Hausman for Team Maize, Barham is going to be definitely the guy at the second level for Team Blue today. So 3rd and 7 on the 28-yard line for Team Maize. Davis Warren shotgun formation with Kalel Mullings next to him. Frederick Moore, Kendrick Bell, and Samaj Morgan are the wide receivers out wide. Warren drops back to pass as another lot of pressure, but he finds a receiver down the lane. That's going to be, I believe, number 43, Deacon Tonelli. So the tight end had a massive gain right there on 3rd and 7, and brings the ball all the way down to Team Blue's 37-yard line. A dot to Deacon Tonelli.
And that was fearless from Davis Warren. He had 2 rushers coming up in his grill, and he was able to make that throw on a dime to Tonelli for the big play. So great play from Davis Warren.
And that will be the end of the first quarter. So right against the wall on their own 18-yard line, Davis Warren facing guys coming from both sides. Gets blasted as he throws a dot to Tonelli, and that'll be end of 1. So, TJ, we've seen a lot of Team Blue on offense, a very little of Team Maize so far, but we're already 2 quarterbacks in Davis Warren, Alex Orji, a lot of question marks about their throwing capabilities. What have we seen from their throwing power specifically and their accuracy already early on in this game?
Well, now, that last play from Davis Warren, I mean, that the throw power, the accuracy was there in the face of the blitz right there. So that was really impressive to see from Davis Warren, who is maybe not been as mentioned. His name hasn't come up as far as this QB battle, but I'm sure he just injected himself into that with that big play there. As far as Alex Orji, I'll give him a lot of credit. He kind of struggled to start out, missing some of those easy throws, but he settled in, dialed it in, got that out route to O'Leary, completed to Bredesen, and then used his legs, used his athleticism to score on that last drive. So I think from both these quarterbacks, we see some very positive things. So this battle going forward for Kirk Campbell and head coach Sharon Moore, it's going to be tough.
Already with that Team Blue team, yes, Davis Warren just made a great throw, but right. I think we can't overstate the amount of pressure he's already facing by this Team Blue defensive line. As we're saying, Derek Moore, Mason Graham, Trey Pierce, Rayshawn Benny, Ike Iwana, Americ Tacumba, these guys, those front 7 are just absurd, and you have so much depth already you're seeing, and you saw the blitz from Barham and all this other really cool stuff going on. As now we're looking at the video board, and Dusty May, the head basketball coach, has been welcomed to the fans here. But, TJ, what have we seen from this Team Blue defensive front in maybe just 3 or 4 plays, but definitely been noteworthy?
Well, I mean, the blitz is going to be there, and Wing Martindale has that tendency to use that blitz more. With Mason Graham, that is the best defensive tackle in the country. You have Jayshawn Barham, who is going to be an under-the-radar transfer. He was great at Maryland. He made an impact in his 2 years there. So he's going to lead the linebacker core, and he's going to be part of that blitz as well. So with the lead of Graham and some of these other players like Iwana and Kumba as well, the blitz is going to be there. This defense is going to be elite. So I want to see how this offense with Davis Warren, and then you have Colson Leveland as well, who is looking to lead the passing attack as well, how they adjust. And this Maize team, Kirk Campbell is the head coach, so I want to see how he adjusts as the offensive coordinator and as a play caller next season.
Could not have said better myself, and I want to give a quick shout-out to Zach Linfield, former WCBN member, did a lot of these football games for the club. He was just seen on the field talking to Dusty May, so great to see him doing amazing stuff with Michigan football. He was with Learfield for a bit in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, came back to Ann Arbor now, but just want to give him a really quick shout-out since he definitely built up this Michigan football program that we now have as WCBN Sports. We're about to get underway here for the second quarter of Michigan football. Team Maize has the ball on the 37-yard line of Team Blue. Trying to make something happen, matching Team Blue's touchdown in the opening drive of the game. TJ, as you had said, that took just about 10 minutes long, so a lot of the first quarter was drained by Team Blue's offensive drive. Would like to see a little bit more of the tackling, especially by Team Maize. It appeared they missed a few tackles on Donovan Edwards, a few of those carries, but right now it's Team Blue's turn on defense to make a stop happen. But they have to go up against this Team Maize offense that includes Miles Hinton at left tackle, Dominic Jadisi, Greg Crippen, Jeff Percy, and Evan Link on the offensive line. Frederick Moore, Samaj Morgan, and Kendrick Bell are the receivers. Kalel Mullings and Cole Cabana are the running backs. And Colson Loveland and Brady Prescorn are the tight ends. And Colson Loveland, we haven't really been able to mention his name yet, but definitely a big piece of this offense as he's the lone receiver split out wide to the right as Team Maize comes out in a pistol formation. Now, my apologies, Davis Warren is under center. And Tavier Dunlap is the running back behind him. Shout out Tavi. The ball is carried to him, and he's immediately stopped in the backfield. Tavier Dunlap tried going to the right side and was clobbered by this ferocious defensive front by Team Blue.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot underestimate that attack. I believe that was Zeke Berry that came in for the tackle there on Dunlap. I mean, man, yeah, this defense is going to be elite.
Zeke Berry getting the start at free safety today. This Team Blue really has a plethora of safeties, not as many cornerbacks. Interesting to see what they're going to do with Makari Page, Quentin Johnson, Zeke Berry, Miles Pollard of sorts, and DJ Waller's out there as well. Nonetheless, 2nd and 10 here. 4 receivers split out wide. Kalel Mullings, the lone back. He's in there to block. Throw goes to Colson Loveland, and that's the first catch of the day, and it'll be good for, I believe, a first down. So Colson Loveland, 10-yard out route completion, good for a first down for Team Maize.
Yeah, and he'll be the undisputed tight end #1 for this team going forward. He'll look to lead the passing attack with a kind of a lackluster receiving core. And, yeah, he came up big there, and that's exactly what he needs to do, just those chunk plays when he needs to, and he's a great blocker as well. So, I mean, he is one of the best tight ends in the country, and he'll be huge for Michigan this season.
Davis Warren also showing off his arm talent. Now Davis Warren splits out wide. They're going to go Wildcat formation. Kalel Mullings takes the snap. He goes left. He's waiting for some blockers, and he has a hole just down the right side, and he gets thrown out of bounds. My apologies, it was the left side. Nonetheless, gets thrown out of bounds. DJ Waller, the boundary corner, makes the tackle.
Yeah, it's a good play from DJ Waller to stop that one because he's in contention for that CB2 position. But how about the creativity we see in Kirk Campbell's play calling? I mean, Michigan's known for their creativity in some of these plays, you know, the split, you know, quarterback out wide. We've seen that with Orji last season. You already see that creativity here. So I know that's going to be a pivotal part of their identity going forward.
Samaj Morgan out left. Now Colson Loveland will join him in motion. Frederick Moore and Kendrick Bell are the receivers out right. Warren takes a snap in shotgun. He's looking left. He goes left, and he finds Colson Loveland, who just might get another first down.
Yeah, Loveland really took the advantage. Nobody was in that area of the field. So good play from Loveland to keep his eyes open and take advantage of what the defense was giving him. Waller kind of blew that coverage there. So good strong play.
Makari Page on the tackle, sending Loveland out of bounds, actually preventing a first down on Loveland. So it'll be 3rd and inches. They're going to say 3rd and 1 technically, but it's less than a yard.
Less than a yard.
Because of this, it'll be 3rd and 1. Kalel Mullings gets the handoff, and he gets tripped up in the backfield. This might not be good enough for a first down. Zeke Berry came down from the safety position and made another fantastic tackle, and they're going to say he's short. So 4th and 1 for Team Maize because of a fantastic tackle made by Zeke Berry.
Yeah, great. I mean, Zeke Berry has already made his impact on this game. His name hasn't come up as much, but he's really made an impact in this one so far. I think we see the freshman Blake Frazier come in and to replace Miles Hinton at tackle, so that's good freshman presence for this team.
Going to see a lot of rotation on this offensive line, trying to see what kind of guys you can get. Blake Frazier, 4-star recruit. 4th and 1, hand up the middle to Kalel Mullings, and he's able to push forward for 3 yards and will get the first down. So he'll move the chains on 4th down, and Team Maize will have a 1st and 10 on the 15-yard line.
And again, you see Michigan, converting on 4th down, that kind of gutsy play calling, taking the risks, rolling the dice, and they did that twice in this game from both teams. In this one, they converting on 4th down and rolling the dice really helped them in the playoff, and I assume that's going to help them again. So good gutsy play calling from both coaches in this one.
So 1st and 10, 15 yards till the end zone. Kalel Mullings in the backfield. Davis Warren in shotgun formation. He's looking left. He goes left, and it's an incomplete pass to Frederick Moore in double coverage right there. Great defense by Jayshawn Barham, and I believe that's going to be number 8 as well, Derek Moore, who dropped into coverage from the defensive end position to break that one up.
So, yeah, good coverage skills from Derek Moore, and he'll be a stalwart on the edge for Michigan this season. That's a questionable throw from Davis to throw that into double coverage to Frederick Moore, who I want to take a step. I think he's a player that can really make an impact in the receiving core and really come up as a surprise for this team and for this fan base.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 on the 15-yard line. Davis Warren under the center. Starting center is Greg Crippen. Right now he holds probably starting duties for the season. Blitz comes, handoff to Mullings. He goes left side, makes a few guys miss, and gets brought down, I believe, 5 yards to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, great vision from Mullins. He read that blitz perfectly and was able to carve out 5 yards despite the pressure. And Mullins, he's looking to come up as the second option behind Edwards. He's been great in his Michigan career as well.
So 3rd and 5 for Team Maize. Again, both teams taking a lot of time on offense early on in this one, seeing that ground and pound game that Sharon Moore likes to preach occur. Defense, though, backs against the walls. Let's see what Team Blue can do. You already see them apply some pressure on this Team Maize offensive line early on in this one, trying to force Davis Warren to make a mistake. 3 receivers to the right, now 2 to the left. Warren looks left, now he looks right. He goes to his check down, and Khalil Mullings gets out of a tackle.
Wow.
He tries to bounce out of it, but Team Blue swarms to him. I believe 7 guys were swarming to Khalil Mullings, and Mullings can't do anything after breaking 1 tackle.
Yeah, that was just a missed tackle by Tyler McLaurin, the edge rusher who dropped back into coverage. Read that play perfectly and would have been a good stop for them, but missed on the tackle, so great strength from Mullins in this one.
Good job, though, by Team Blue to swarm Mullins. 24, I see, was in there. That's Miles Pollard, one of the guys playing cornerback today for Team Blue. So we'll get a field goal opportunity. Adam Samaha sends it through the uprights. That's good. Samaha, the lefty, the sophomore, didn't do really much last year. He played in those sparingly at times. But now, this year, with James Turner leaving, Tommy Doman, it appears at least already in this one that he's going to be the punter. You're looking for your starting kicker still, and it's a battle right now between a few guys, one of which being Adam Samaha.
Yeah, I mean, he kicked and made 1 extra point last season, so he has seen some game time. And, yeah, that'll be interesting to see because, I mean, they came up short, at least in some of these games last season, kicking, kind of killed themselves a little bit in the Rose Bowl, made it hard for themselves. So it needs, after Jake Moody, the success they had from 21-22, and then you had a gap in 23. So you got to have a secure position there at the kicker spot as we see Chris Jenkins make a return to the big house before he gets drafted.
The NFL draft is this Thursday in Detroit, Michigan. So what better time than for all of our Michigan players who have played with this team for the last 3-4 years to come back to Ann Arbor, watch the spring game if they're already going to be here in the state of Michigan for the draft on Thursday. So it's great to see guys like Chris Jenkins in the building. J.J. McCarthy has been on campus around this time a little bit.
I see Trevor Keegan on
the blue team up there.
Sideline.
Great to see him. Zach Zinter. So a lot of great Michigan legends, as Jim Harbaugh would call them, back in the building to support their teammates as they're getting set for another season.
Yeah, and there was a mass exodus of draft-eligible players that left to the NFL. 18 players, and they're all crucial in the national championship run. Stemming from J.J. McCarthy all the way to Josh Wallace, who made an impact at CB2 as well. We see 6 guys on the offensive line that left for the draft, and so that leaves big gaps in the offensive line for this season going forward. So, I mean, this is just going to be an interesting team. It's they're in a unique position. They're trying to defend their national title while completely reworking their roster.
Hudson Hollenbeck, one of those other kickers, is getting set to kick off for the second time for Team Maize. Sends it underway. We're going to see Tyler Morris let that go into the end zone for another touchback, so we have not seen a kick return yet. And now we get Jaden Davis, the true freshman, running onto the field. So Alex Orji gets the first series. Jaden Davis gets the second. And, TJ, I know both of us are very excited about what Jaden Davis can bring.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of comps. I've said J.J. McCarthy in the pregame. I see a lot of comps with him, and I know the Michigan fan base is really excited to see this kid, come in with this new system, and he gets his first cuts as a Michigan Wolverine in this one.
Davis is joined by a lot of the backup offensive linemen as well. Amir Herring, Dan Taraboy, Giovanni El Hadi gets his first snap. So Jaden Davis hands the ball off first time. That's to Donovan Edwards. That goes forward for about a 3-yard gain. So it'll be 2nd and 7 for Team Blue. This Team Blue, it's a very interesting makeup. You got a guy like Jaden Davis out there right now. Very few wide receivers who've really played much, as I said, right? Peyton O'Leary Got Tyler Morris out there right now. Dale Chesson, another guy we haven't heard much of yet. So interesting to see with what Jaden Davis can do with this kind of receiver core that really hasn't seen many snaps in live game action. Jaden Davis takes the snap. He drops back. He passes to Tyler Morris for a screen pass. Morris gets around a few guys. He makes another guy miss, and he gets brought down at the 35-yard line. Good for a first down. He gets brought down by Jaden McBurrows, one of the guys that are in contention for the nickel cornerback position. And after that throw, Alex Orji jumps right back in to play quarterback.
But Jaden Davis did exactly what he was supposed to do. Pass it on the flat there, and Tyler Morris has excellent abilities after the catch to gain yards. We saw that in the Rose Bowl where he came up big in that one, and he, I think he gained like 10 yards after the catch on that one. So great play from Tyler Morris.
Jaden McBurrows and Keyshawn Harris are the cornerbacks out there right now for Team Maize. Tyler Morris in motion. He gets the handoff. He goes around right side. He makes a few guys miss and gets brought down to the 40-yard line, and we get a penalty, probably a holding call on Team Blue. Nonetheless, Tyler Morris getting in motion, getting the jet sweep pass, and makes it into a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, and that looked to be a 1 to 2 yard loss, but just his speed and his raw athletic ability, just to get around the edge and to gain 5-6 yards on that one. So Tyler Morris, you're really seeing his athleticism as he looks to potentially lead this receiving core next season.
So they're going to call a holding call. Did not catch the number on that one. It appears it was on Zach Marshall, one of the backup tight ends that is getting some time here for this Team Blue. So it'll back the team up a few yards, and it'll be 1st and 17 on the 29-yard line. Jaden Davis back out there at quarterback. Got to keep track of who these quarterbacks are. Ben Hall behind him. Handoff goes to Hall. Makes a few guys miss, but then he actually gets tackled in the backfield. So Ben Hall actually loses a few yards on that carry. And it'll be 2nd down and 19 for Team Blue. Yeah,
Ben Hall is one of those guys that's going to compete for the spot behind Edwards, so that necessarily doesn't help his case there. But I really look forward for him to take a step. He had some big games last season, especially against Indiana, that launched him into this conversation in the first place. So I look for him to recover after that. I believe he's in the backfield again in this one.
He is.
Yep.
Zach Marshall out wide. Other side of him is, I believe, Peyton O'Leary. And Jaden Davis feels some pressure, so he's just to throw it away. That definitely would have been a sack, and they're going to call that a sack. Jaden Davis just felt pressure in his blind side and would have been blown up if this was a real game and they were allowed to hit the quarterback. So we're going to get a timeout here. TJ, I don't know if you saw the player that came in hot
I was trying to
from the right side. They don't show us. They just cut to Blake Corum. But whomever was on the right side there, I believe it might have been TJ Guy or Josiah Stewart, one of the two, they would have hit Jaden Davis hard from the blind side.
Yeah, that would have been blown up. But nonetheless, those are two guys that look to solidify that edge position. Josiah Stewart came up big in the Rose Bowl. That transfer from Coastal Carolina, another one of those under-the-radar transfers that, at least the national college football landscape kind of missed. But he came up big for Michigan and was pivotal in their national championship pursuit. And then TJ Guy, like I said before, he's got national press as a guy to look out for going into next season, and highly regarded around players and coaches. So that's a great play from TJ Guy nonetheless. So he's really established himself as a potential edge option because it's going to be Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore. But to back it up and just with that depth on the edge, it's great to have a guy like TJ Guy who can do that for you.
Also playing left tackle right now, Blake Frazier, the guy who probably gave up that sack. Frazier, one of these freshmen that are coming in this year. He and Andrew Gentry are sharing the left tackle duties right now for Team Blue. But if you're a freshman, you just gave up a potential sack in terms of a spring game. What do you need to do to kind of calm yourself down? You're also protecting a freshman quarterback as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. It'll come with it. This team has been very good at developing offensive line, so that'll just come with time. He's only a freshman, but he was great in his stint. Coming from Austin, Texas, from Vandergrift High School, blocked for an offense that scored 38-plus points in almost all of their games, so he has that potential, and this coach staff's looking to find that.
So it'll be 3rd and 28. Jaden Davis still out there. Next to him is Ben Hall. Out wide, Marlon Klein, one of the also highly spoken about tight ends. He gets set in motion. And the play call is just going to be a handoff to Ben Hall. He bounces out wide, but gets brought down right away by Cody Jones. And that's going to be bringing up 4th down, and Team Maize will have a chance to go down and score with 2 minutes left here in the first half.
So unfortunately for Jaden Davis, his first drive as a Michigan Wolverine in this one, did not end the way he probably wanted it to, but that'll come with it. It was probably just jitters, so he'll come over that. As we see Michigan offense, their first 2-minute drill here in this one. So that'll be interesting, especially with Kirk Campbell calling the plays. So
Definitely.
This is a huge test, a huge report, really, to the entire college football landscape of what this new offensive regime is going to do in situations just like this.
Definitely. It'll be interesting also to see which quarterback is sent out there for Team Maize.
It looks like Jaden Davis is talking to Kirk Campbell, so I believe he will come in.
So Jaden Davis, I was just going to say, Jaden Davis, one of these guys we have not seen yet. On the same team as Davis Warren today. Davis, 6'4", more of a pocket passer, was compared to Ben Roethlisberger by Kirk Campball. So it'll be very interesting to see what he can do with his 2-minute offense. Yeah,
and he's more that pocket passer, but nonetheless, he's still athletic. 6'5", 235, has the ability to run. And I can see him as a sleeper to potentially, snag that QB1 spot. With Kirk Campbell being that quarterback coach, being the quarterback mind that developed J.J. McCarthy into the prospect that he is, I believe he can do the same thing for Jaden Davis as well. So this could add just yet another layer to this hard decision that it's going to have to come eventually of who's going to lead under center for the Wolverines.
So we got a lot of boos. Unsure why.
Booing the kid on the scoreboard. Wow.
That's interesting.
Got to be an Ohio State fan.
Maybe. Unless we're going to get our first punt of the day. Tommy Doman, the guaranteed starting punter for this team, one of the best punters in the country last year, is heading into his senior year with this program. Redshirted his freshman year, though. Doman kicks and punts, but has really found a home punting. He's also the guy who sets the ball up on field goals, extra points, and the punt is underway. Samaj Morgan is way back, but he lets that fall. The ball actually hung, and it was kind of shanked a little bit, and that's going to be a really great starting position for Team Maize.
Yeah, but they still have to go against this defensive front. I don't see Mason Graham on the field right now, so this is going to be the backups. But nonetheless, this team blue defensive front is formidable, and we will see how Jaden Davis responds with under 2 minutes.
Yeah, we see out there Miles Pollard, DJ Waller. I also see Zeke Berry out there, and then on the interior, we get Amara Kumba, Tyler McLaurin, and Rayshawn Benny. Those linebackers, Jimmy Rolder and Jason Hewlett with Jayshawn Barham. So very good defense for a spring game specifically. Tyler McLaurin confused for a second. He hops back on the field, though. Jaden Davis, shotgun formation. He hands the ball off to Tavi Dunlap. Dunlap goes right up the middle and is able to push his way forward for, I believe, a 4-yard gain, minute 43 on the clock.
That's just Michigan's identity. Just take those chunk plays, those slow, methodical rush plays, just slowly gain and chip at the first down there. It's a good play from Dunlap in this offensive line.
2nd and 6 now. Jaden Davis, minute 30. Refs holding it up because of substitutions. Here it goes. Samaj Morgan out wide, and now Wink Martindale's running in to call a timeout for Team Blue. So Coach Wink did not like the defensive scheme his team put out there, and he quickly calls a timeout. That's their first of the half, and we have a minute 23 left here in the first half, 2nd and 6.
Yeah, I was going to say Samaj Morgan was really motioning for Denegal to go and hurry it up because I think he saw something, and Wink luckily, found the discrepancy there. So that would likely had the potential for the Maize team for a big play there, as Samaj Morgan saw it as well. So good vision from the freshman who will be a sophomore next season on that play.
The Maize offensive line also saw a lot of changes since the last time they were out there. Now we see Tristan Bounds get his first time on the field. Shout out to him. And Tavi Dunlap, some of my neighbors freshman year in South Quad. Cole Morgan, Nathan Afobe, Jeffrey Percy, and Greg Crippen are the guys. So this is the number 2s who are out there. Tavi Dunlap still in the backfield. Great to see him getting some time. Frederick Moore, Samaj Morgan out there, and they hand the ball off to Dunlap. Finds a quick crease, but it quickly gets clobbered up. 3 yards is the carry. Very interesting to see a few handoffs here with the 2-minute offense.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and I wanted to see Denegal get tested as far as his arm talent because he's more that pocket passer. And, Orji, his arm talent has certainly been a question. And what Orji lacks, Denegal has as far as his passing ability. So it was a little bit questionable to see 3 straight handoffs on that in this drive so far.
So 3rd and 3, there's a timeout on the field by Team Maize, and hopefully, if you are looking to see what these quarterbacks are made of, now's the time.
Right.
Short yardage situation, let him air it out. You are in field goal range. You're on the 32-yard line, so unclear who that place kicker will be. I see it's Adam Samaha already practicing. They might actually, by the looks of it, they have handed the ball off, TJ. You have to think of this like it's a spring game. This is not a normal game. You're trying to see different things. Maybe you actually do want to see a guy like Adam Samaha attempt a 50-yard field goal, and in which case you might hand the ball off one more time here. Yeah,
no, I would agree, but you'd also want to see Denegal's passing ability as well.
Exactly.
You're showing the entire country, as this game is nationally broadcast on Fox, you want to show the country what talent you have in that quarterback room.
So 3rd and 3, Denegal, shotgun formation, Tavi Dunlap out wide. Samaj Morgan in motion. Denegal quickly throws up the middle, and it's a completed pass. Unclear exactly who that is. Might be the freshman Brady Prescorn.
I think that might have been Kendrick Bell.
So actually,
number 12.
Yes, you're right. Instead of 22, I see now it's 12. So Kendrick Bell.
Fault, yeah.
And now we get a false start on Team Maize. Frederick Moore was probably 15 yards down the field before realizing. But back to Kendrick Bell really fast. He's a guy, the brother of Ronnie Bell, one of the premier wide receivers in Michigan history. Kendrick Bell comes into Michigan as a quarterback and transfers now to the wide receiver position. But that was a great catch by him right there.
Yeah, and it was great vision from Denegal as well. As we were just saying, I would have liked to have seen his passing ability. And right there, you found the guy wide open to convert and continue this 2-minute drive with 1:08 left on the clock.
Again, we have a running clock in the spring game, so that's why we've really eaten up a lot of time so quickly. Again, in a normal college football game, the clock would be stopping a lot more often. But now you've had to see these teams using their timeouts. They're trying to fix the game clock a little bit, it appears. So it ran down more than they would have liked. So they actually are going to call a delay of – they're going to call a false start is on Frederick Moore. So 52 seconds now on the clock, and the clock is rolling. Ball on the 26-yard line. Jaden Davis going through his checks, but definitely does not have a lot of time. Denegal drops back to pass. He feels a lot more pressure again. He rolls left. He has to run with it, and he gets pushed out of bounds after about a 5-yard gain. So – actually, they're going to call this even only a 2-yard gain. Said he went out on the 24 to the 22, so it'll be 2nd and 13 on the 24, 37 seconds left.
Yeah, good improv from Denegal, who's really looking for Samaj Morgan, who's running parallel to him at that left side of the field. But nonetheless, just still gain on that one.
So 2nd and long. 37 seconds left. Jaden Davis, the quarterback for Team Maize. Draws back to pass, feeling a lot more pressure left side. He has to run, and they're going to say a penalty and possibly a sack. But again, they cannot touch the quarterback, so it's unclear when they'll call it a sack, and I believe they're going to call a holding call before the sack.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a good blitz from the blue team there, but Tavi Dunlap there, really good at picking up the block from the lone blitzer there as well. So good run blocking from Dunlap there.
They're going to say holding on the offense. It'll back him up 10 more yards. Americ Kumba has made his name for himself in the backfield. They're going to call a holding call on Evan Link, number 71, the left tackle. But Kumba has applied a lot of pressure already in this game, a guy that we were excited to see, and he's really come out and has really showed out so far in this first half.
Yeah, and he really doesn't have that national press coverage around his name, and certainly with a performance like this, he will certainly inject his name into some positional battles.
So 31 seconds left here. Ball on the 38-yard line. Ball snaps to Denegal. He draws back to pass. He has a wide open receiver, Frederick Moore. And Moore gets brought down at the 6 or 7-yard line. Clock is rolling. And what a dot to Frederick Moore in between 3 defenders. He gets the ball right behind Jimmy Rolder, the linebacker. Micah Davis makes the tackle. And with 18 seconds now, 1st and 6 on the 6-yard line. We're going to get another timeout here by Team Maize, looking to score before the end of the half.
Yeah, what poise in the pocket that Denegal had to find Frederick Moore, who was running that out route. That's a tough throw to make on that outside left side for Denegal to make, but he made that on a dime there. And boy, what a play. And this is exactly what you wanted to see from Denegal, who's more that prototypical pocket passer. And Kirk Campbell, who's calling the plays, good to rely on his quarterback and rely on Frederick Moore as well, who wants to see an enhanced role for this receiving core.
Yeah, Fred Moore is going to really need to take a big step forward. There's not a lot of guys in that wide receiver room right now. He's looking to be number 2 or 3 on the depth chart. So you got 1st and goal from the 6, and there's a fumble by Denegal, and they're going to say that's a technical sack. He did find Owen Klein in the end zone, but they're going to say that's a sack before we get to anything else. My apologies, it was Deacon Tonelli in the end zone, not Marlon Klein nonetheless. It'll be ball at the 6-yard line, and it's 3rd and goal with 2 seconds left. Believe one of the teams have just called their final timeout. Now Team Maize has called its final timeout, and that will bring on Adam Samaha to try to kick another field goal here with no time left in the first half and bring this game to 7-6.
Yeah, but that 2-minute drill from the Maize team had some promise with Denegal, with his passing ability as well. So, good 2-minute drive nonetheless. Come up with some points.
Greg Tarr, the long snapper. Snaps it to Tommy Doman. Kick is up by Samaha. And it's no good. So Adam Samaha cannot drive through the 29-yard field goal attempt. And our score at the end of the first half is 7-3. Very, very interesting start to what we've seen today, TJ.
Yeah, just an interesting start. We see right here just an exemplification of the quarterback battle. You see flashes from Orji, but you've seen some struggles from him as well. You've seen Denegal, make some good throws. Seen Davis Warren make some great throws as well. Jaden Davis kind of struggling in his first drive, so it's going to be a tough decision. You see some problems with the offensive line with some holding calls as well. So what we came into this game kind of expecting in our knowledge, or kind of brief knowledge of this team right now, we see it here, and there's still some problems to kink out, but it's only the first half of the spring game.
TJ, I want to really focus first of all on the defense that they played, because we saw the first 2 drives end up in scores, but they were really long drives, and Team Blue holds Team Maize to a field goal after, again, like an 8-minute drive.
Right.
And I really think a lot of it was because of that pressure. So looking at that Team Blue, defensive front with Derek Moore, Mason Graham, Trey Pierce, Rayshawn Benny, Americ Kumba, Ike Iowana, what do we see from those guys? And what's so exciting to see from how much pressure they did apply to those Team Maize quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, it's Mason Graham. He's the best defensive tackle in the country. He'll come up big. He will be not only the anchor for this already deep and formidable front 7, and with him at the helm, I mean, the passing attack the rushing attack for Michigan on that defensive side is going to be strong, and this defense is going to be anchored by that front 7. And Rashawn Benny, I think he will come up as a potential sleeper for this team at that front 7. 3-time Defensive Player of the Week last season, so he made a significant impact in their national championship run. He's looking to make have an enhanced role next season. So yeah, from here we already it's already confirmed with what our knowledge of this team was, is that this front 7 is going to be killer going forward, and we see that here.
Staying with Team Blue, I also want to talk about the defensive backs, because we also saw a few guys that were making some names for themselves. DJ Waller, Miles Pollard, Zeke Berry. What do we see from those guys? And also in terms of the battles that are going on, not just at the cornerback position, but I also failed to mention, at the free safety position right now, you lose Rod Moore for the year. At strong safety, you have Makari Page and Quentin Johnson, but a guy like Zeke Berry playing free safety today has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think he has truly solidified, a potential spot as free safety, he's made some good plays, rushing up to make some great tackles, meeting the receiver in the flat as well. I think he's certainly made a name for himself, and I think he's one of the best defensive players on the blue team in this game so far, just through his performance. He might will himself into a starting spot at that free safety position.
Changing gears now, looking at the offense, I'm going to look at the position group as a whole between both teams.
Yep.
Let's look at the running back position,
right?
Because you have, Donovan Edwards had actually a few really good runs in that first drive. Ben Hall got some time. Tavier Dunlap got some time, waiting for Cole Cabana to get some time as well. But starting with Donovan Edwards, coming in as the lead guy, we know he's explosive. We know he makes the big play. Can he make the big play every single play? Can he also be okay with not making the big play every single play? And today, you saw him utilizing his vision a little bit more, in my opinion, and finding those holes to get some first downs.
Yeah, I mean, the vision, we were talking about it earlier. That was one thing he really needed to improve on from last season, this season. And, he was really reading the holes that the offensive line gave to him and had some really big gains. So it's good to see that kind of weakness in his game from last season not come up so far in this one. And then we've seen, Ben Hall and Khalil Mullins, who's actually come up big in this one, Mullins, out of the backfield as well. But the one thing that I just thought of, I'm surprised we haven't seen Donovan Edwards seen him much in the passing attack, because his catching abilities out of the backfield, and that just adds another dimension to this Michigan offense. So I would want to see more of that in the second half. If he plays.
It's tough, right? Because we saw essentially 3 total drives in that first half because of that running clock and because that you're really not seeing a lot that's going on. This Michigan team has also been known across the country of hiding as much close to their chest as possible. They're not going to show you a lot. They won't even show you a lot during the season until you get to the end of the year. They want to keep all their cards close to their chest, so it's hard to see what's going on. But you were saying, right, with the passing attack in general with Donovan Edwards, I want to see the wide receivers get more involved.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
I want to see who's that third, that fourth wide receiver right now, because, yes, Samaj Morgan was great for you last year. Tyler Morris was great for you last year. But outside of them, Frederick Moore is fighting for a job. And Peyton O'Leary, Kendrick Bell. What did you see from that other guys, like a guy like Frederick Moore, Kendrick Bell, Peyton O'Leary in that first half that maybe gets you a little excited?
Frederick Moore on that big play, I like to see him. I think at some points last season, just looking forward to this season, he was, coined as a potential #1 option, but he's kind of faltered as far as, that buzz around his name. So I want to see him, especially on that one play pass from Denegal, to really get that Maize team close to the end zone. So he has that ability to get open. Peyton O'Leary's had himself a good game as well, and Kendrick Bell came out with a really good catch as well. So, that third option's going to be tough. I think Frederick Moore's got the lead with that pass completion and getting them so close to the end zone, but nonetheless, it's going to be a tough decision.
Finally, TJ, another big question mark on this team was the offensive line. And how were the offensive linemen were going to play? You're not seeing, obviously, the starters all working together right now, or at least what we think are the starters. And that's tough because it's all about chemistry. Some of the guys like Miles Hinton would say to us as the media sometimes when you're working with a new guy next to you, you're stepping on each other's toes a little bit. Your movements are a little bit different because it's comfortability. And so far today, we saw, interestingly to me, some interesting positions where these guys were playing. Andrew Gentry, which was largely talked about could play both tackle positions, stayed at right tackle the entire first half. Blake Frazier, on the other hand, was getting a lot of snaps at left tackle with Miles Hinton. Inside, Raheem Anderson versus Greg Crippen at the center position. That's going to be an interesting competition. Giovanni El Hadi, Josh Preeb with Jake Garnera. What did we see from these offensive linemen that also can maybe tell us a little bit about what the coaches are thinking in terms of who's going to start?
Well, I think Gentry, Manning, I think you said right tackle. I think, that's going to give an indication. But, I think you can really take this with a grain of salt, knowing how Michigan keeps their cards close, really doesn't give opponents or the larger college football landscape any intel on what they're going to do. So we'll see, how that pans out. But we have seen some mistakes from the offensive line in this one with some holds. And that'll just come with chemistry, as you said. We've seen kind of a jumbled mix of freshmen, seniors, some people playing in position, some people not. So we're kind of seeing a misrepresentation, and I do trust the coaching staff with Grant Newsom, who moved from tight end coach to O-line coach, and Sharon Moore with his offensive line coaching experience to really get the most out of these players.
A few guys that I was it was kind of cool to see them on the field for as long as they were. Evan Link was getting a
Yeah,
lot of
he
time
got
at
a
right
lot of
tackle.
time.
That was interesting to see.
Greg Crippen, he had a lot of time.
Greg Crippen had a lot of time. Dominic Giudice at left guard got a lot of time. Jeff Percy, another guy fighting for that job as well. We talked about Josh Preeb at the beginning of the broadcast and where he could go. He played left at Northwestern, but a lot of time he's been playing at right here because Giovanni El Hadi is more of a left guard himself. Right. So that's also been kind of an interesting battle between where they want to put the best five. But getting guys like Evan Link, who's a younger guy, getting guys like Blake Frazier, who is a true freshman, getting them a lot of reps against some of the best defensive linemen in the country already in their spring game has been very interesting to see.
They say iron sharpens iron. And, putting these freshmen in these big circumstances, you have to go against Mason Graham, you have to go against Rashawn Benny, just shows how much trust the coaching staff has in these players, to make plays and to, trust them to block as well. So I think that's a great indication for them as well.
Well, TJ, it has been great doing the first half with you. We're going to be handing it over to our colleagues in just a second, and Owen Klein and Vihaan Easwar do the second half. This is going to be a great second half. Owen, I believe it's his last broadcast with WCBN. He's been with the club for so long, so he has so much insight that he's going to share with you guys. And thank you all for listening to WCBN Sports. Give us a 30-second break, and we'll get our next two broadcasters up for you guys to call the second half of the Maize versus Blue Michigan football spring game.
I'd like to welcome you back to our coverage of the Michigan football spring game 2024 here. Thanks to Jake and TJ for a great first half call. Going to get started here at the second half in about 6.5 minutes. My name is Owen Klein. I'm joined by Vihaan Easwar. Vihaan, we talked about it before the broadcast. We've got cloudy skies. We're at about the upper 40s, but it's April. But there's Michigan football going on. So, I don't know. I feel like it's the fall right now.
Yeah, this is the exact type of weather for some Big Ten smash-mouth defensive football.
Absolutely. Now, the storyline for Michigan is change. After 15-0 last season, the coveted national championship in which everything seemed to work perfectly, we've now got a massive overhaul of not only the roster but the coaching staff as well. Obviously, Sharon Moore, Michigan's offensive coordinator and interim head coach for 4 games last year, takes over as the head coach now. We've also got new coordinators. Kurt Campbell, QB coach last year, has been elevated to the offensive coordinator position. Wink Martindale is the new defensive coordinator, and both are serving as head coaches this afternoon for this spring game. Vihaan, we have our outlooks on the roster, on the personnel. How does the coaching staff changes affect this Michigan program going forward?
Well, I think a big part of it is keeping the philosophy consistent. Jim Harbaugh established a brand of winning. Keep it simple, run the ball a lot, play good defensive football, and I think the reason for Moore's appointment is to sort of preserve that philosophy. And I think Wink Martindale is definitely someone who can take a big step towards doing that on the defensive side. He's coming over from the Ravens, who have had a big Michigan connection in the past few years with the likes of Mike McDonald. So I think you're going to see Michigan just continue that philosophy that worked out for them. And I think they've trusted the team to people who can really do that.
Absolutely. So, coaching staff changes out of the way. Now, positional battles. J.J. McCarthy, Michigan's outstanding quarterback last year, has declared for the draft. Many project him to be a top 10. I've seen a couple top 5 projections. So Michigan's got questions at quarterback. We've seen Alex Orji came out for the first series for the blue team, led them to a touchdown on their opening drive with a rushing touchdown. Then it was a combination on the blue team's second drive between freshman Jaden Davis and Alex Orji. For the Maize, Davis Warren started at quarterback for the first drive, which led to a Adam Samaha field goal. For the second drive, it was Jaden Denegal, which led to a missed Samaha field goal. So we've seen 4 different quarterbacks today. Jaden Davis, the freshman, for the blue team, hasn't seen much action. He's only gotten about 4 or 5 snaps, rather. But what have you seen so far from the quarterbacks during this spring game, and what's your overall outlook on the quarterback situation for Michigan going forward?
Yeah, I think if you want to keep up with that idea of preserving the philosophy that won Michigan a national title, I'd really like to see more of Orji and Jaden Davis throughout the season, because I think they're the sort of build of quarterback that Michigan would really work around. I think, mobile, efficient, make plays when they need to make plays. Just someone like that. And this isn't discounting Denegal, because I really do like him. I think his build and skills as a passer could be a big asset to this team. But I really do like both Orji and Davis for what this Michigan team is trying to go with. And I'd like to see a lot more of them both in this game and to start the season out. I think it's good that they're not going into the season with a quarterback in mind, because you have a couple of options who have similar levels of experience, both have some flaws, both have a lot going for them. So I think it's good to go in with an open mind.
Also talking about that running back situation, now it's pretty clear that Donovan Edwards will take the reins for the running back position in the coming years. Edwards now in his 4th season with the Wolverines. He has been a staple of Michigan football for their past 3 years of success, and he showed it on the first drive with his rushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Donovan Edwards didn't have the season a lot of people were hoping last year. But I think that's expected when you're juggling carries with the great Blake Corum. And what we saw in the first half from Donovan Edwards, I really, really liked. I really liked his vision. I really liked the way that he found holds. I think that was something he did very well in the national championship in the first half of that game. And I think if you can do more of the same, I think that makes a great contrast with the other presumptive starter, Kalel Mullings, who's more of that bruiser.
Absolutely. So, both teams have taken the field. We're just under 2 minutes before the start of the second half. This game has gone by fast, Vihaan. We don't have to worry about super long commercial breaks. This is truly a scrimmage, and the reason we're here is to play football. So, only an hour from kickoff, when we're already about to start the second half. So this thing has gone by quickly. A solid showing out here from Michigan fans on this Saturday afternoon. Again, it's a crisp spring afternoon. Kind of feels like the fall. We've got a nice overcast of clouds. And I'd say the stadium in total is around a quarter full, with most of the fans concentrated in that Big M. So both teams have taken the field. We're about a minute from the start of the second half. Now we'll see what Michigan wants to do personnel-wise. Again, this is a scrimmage in which Michigan wants to test their players, and a big overhaul of personnel requires Michigan to have an efficient spring game where they can really see what they want to do moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's a lot of movement at key positions, as you already said, especially in the skill areas. Wide receiver and cornerback are still fairly big question marks, especially wide receiver, because, Roman Wilson graduated, declared for the draft.
Cornelius
Johnson graduated,
Absolutely.
declared for the draft. So there's a lot of players with a lot of different flaws and a lot of different quirks that they have going for them, and I'm interested to see how they all mesh together.
Absolutely. Talk about a guy like Tyler Morris is somebody that's had experience for Michigan, and Samaj Morgan, and obviously Colson Loveland, who is the star pass catcher for this Wolverines entering this next season. But other than that, Vihaan, like you said, really big overhaul at the wide receiver position. There have been guys like Peyton O'Leary who have been within the program, although they haven't seen much game action. They've been within the program, and so this receiver room really is open and up for grabs. And we'll see if this second half, if anyone pops out here.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly comment on Peyton O'Leary, because
Absolutely.
he's a player I find really interesting. He's someone I want to see get out there a lot more, because when you just look at his measurables, O'Leary is 6'3" and 200 pounds. That's a tight end build, yet he lines up at receiver.
Yep.
And I think that's a good contrast for some of the smaller, speedier receivers that Michigan has really excelled with. Like,
Absolutely.
for example, you have Fred Moore, who looks like a solid choice to take over that wide receiver 3 position alongside Morris and Samaj Morgan. He's, again, smaller, good route runner. But then you have O'Leary, who's just a tank, and I'd really like to see what they could do with him.
We are moments away from commencing the second half of this Michigan spring game. Score is 7-3 blue team. Now, the blue team started this game with the ball. Their first drive culminated in an Alex Orji rushing touchdown. So Maize will receive the ball to start the second half. Now, curious to see who Maize brings out at quarterback. Again, Davis Warren started that first drive for the Maize, led to a field goal, and then Jaden Denegal came in for the second drive, which led to a missed field goal. Warren looked good on his throws.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, he wasn't necessarily putting a lot of velocity into them. Not necessarily a hard thrower, but good, clean, efficient, which is sort of the mold that J.J. McCarthy set. Obviously, McCarthy had an arm. McCarthy could absolutely sling it. But generally, he would throw usually like 10, 15 yards to try to get the first down, try to not make too many mistakes. And it shows in the 26-1 record, 2 Big Ten titles, and, of course, a national championship win.
Absolutely. So we're lined up here. Blue will kick to Maize. It'll be Cordell Jones-McNall to kick off for Blue, the place kicker. Kick is away. Short kick will be fielded at the 9-yard line for a fair catch. So ball will start at the 25-yard line for the Maize. And it looks like Jaden Denegal will begin this drive for the Maize.
Right, and I want to call attention back to Jaden Denegal because I think what I really like about him is how different he is from the mold of the other quarterbacks on this roster. You know, Denegal's big. He's a pocket passer. He's gotten a Ben Roethlisberger comp.
Yep.
I think he's a really interesting type of player that I could see Michigan potentially, if they want a switch up in philosophy, they could definitely do great things with Denegal.
So Denegal in the shotgun. He's got Tavier Dunlap behind him. Denegal takes the snap, hands to Dunlap up the middle. Dunlap will run into a crowd but push forward for about 4 from the 25 to the 29-yard line.
Right, and I think that's a nice little break from the philosophy of Edwards, who kind of tries to find holds, who doesn't necessarily, not necessarily avoid contact, but he doesn't go looking for it. But I did like the fact that Dunlap sort of pushed right into that hole, pushed right into the trenches.
So 2nd and 6 for the Maize. Denegal in the gun, Dunlap to his right. 2 receivers on each side. Denegal takes the snap, back to pass. Looks, dumps it underneath. That was intended for Dunlap, but it was batted at the line of scrimmage. No whistles yet, so we've got a fumble recovered by the Blue. That's a Merrick Kumba who recovered it for the Blue. That looked like an incomplete pass. It might have been intercepted, though. We'll see what the call is on this, but as it stands, it'll be Blue ball in the red zone.
And
the Maize offense is staying out there, however, and it looks like it'll be called, yes, a turnover. The Blue defense is celebrating.
yeah, and I think that was the product of a throw that I frankly wasn't a big fan of from Denegal. I think he underthrew that significantly.
Yep, that was batted. It looked like it was batted at the line of scrimmage. Now, I thought it was incomplete. It might be incomplete because Denegal and the Maize offense remains out there. And there it is. There's the call there. It was incomplete. We'll get a replay here on the video board. But, yes, Denegal wanted to go underneath to Tavier Dunlap out of the backfield, and that ball was batted at the line of scrimmage. So it'll be 3rd and 6 for the Maize offense. Score is 7-3 Blue. Denegal stays out there with Tavier Dunlap, the halfback. In the gun is Denegal. Dunlap to his left. We've got 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Max Bredesen is in the tight end off the line to the left. Denegal takes the snap, looking, scrambling right, still looking, being chased by Rolder, will dump it off. It'll be picked off. Jaden Denegal throws an interception to DJ Waller. So Waller comes, and I think Waller might have fumbled that at the end of the play, and Maize recovered because that Maize offense is still out there, and yes, it's exactly what happened. So DJ Waller on the interception as Denegal was rolling right, picked it off, and then fumbled. So what mayhem in these last couple of plays.
Yeah, and I like the rollout to the right from Denegal, but it looked like a bit of a miscue in terms of vision because he was right across from Waller.
So it'll be 1st down Maize. They'll get a fresh set of downs. Denegal single back with Dunlap behind him. Denegal will turn, hand to Dunlap right up the middle. We'll get about 3 or 4. Ran right into a crowd. Tavier Dunlap has been running hard.
Yeah, and I think you can notice that Dunlap is taking it right down the middle, and I think he's had success just sort of pushing through that hole. It's usually short yardage gain, but that can be very valuable, especially as a committee back.
Dunlap, the senior running back from Del Valle, Texas, has been a steady part of this program, although hasn't seen many meaningful snaps. He's getting a lot of work here during the spring game. He'll stay in there to the left of Denegal in the gun. 2nd and 4 for the Maize. Got 2 receivers at Denegal's left. Denegal will take the snap. Hand to Dunlap. Trying to go outside. Will get stopped at the line of scrimmage. Shrugged off a couple defenders, but unable to gain significant yardage. It'll be 3rd and 6, a loss of 2.
Yeah, I think nice to see a little bit of a switch up there with the play calling instead of having him go down the middle, try and pitch it out.
So 3rd and 6, got to think that Denegal will throw here. Only seen 2 pass attempts actually, this drive. One of which was an incomplete pass and one of which was an interception. So 3rd and 6 for the Maize. Denegal in the gun. We'll take the snap, and we'll tuck it and run it. Denegal gets the first down, and he will be touched. So don't think he got the first down. Might have been a couple yards short. Again, we're doing the touch rule with the quarterback, so no tackling quarterbacks. When you're touched, you're down. So Denegal was touched at the 39. Got a 4th and 2 coming up.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a fair bit more mobility from Denegal than we might have thought going into this game. And I am a fan of his running style. I think, considering his size, you wouldn't expect him to run as lightly as he does, but I think he's nimble, not necessarily shifty, but he's just got a sort of featherweight type motion when he runs the ball.
So Denegal again in the gun. 3 receivers to his left. Denegal takes the snap, hands. Stopped at the line of scrimmage is Bryson Tusco. So 4th. So it'll be a turnover on downs for the Maize. Blue will take possession here on what was a rather stagnant drive. Had the near turnover and then the interception. But DJ Waller couldn't hang on as he fumbled and gave the ball right back to the Maize. But otherwise, pretty stagnant drive there for the Maize offense, Vihaan.
Yeah, I agree. I think Denegal was playing it a little safer than maybe Team Blue would have liked. Well, Team Maize would have liked. My apologies.
So Jaden Davis will be in the single back. He will start this drive off for the Blue offense. Davis will hand. It'll be Ben Hall who will scamper to the 34-yard line, maybe 35. Gain of 4 for the Blue, and great field position here for the Blue squad. And Jaden Davis, in his limited action in the first half, didn't get much opportunity. We'll see if the Blue offense and head coach Wink Martindale will open the playbook up for Davis a bit. Would love to see that for the freshman. He's in contention for this starting role in what's a wide open QB race for Michigan. I formation, 2nd and 5. Davis under center. Ben Hall is the halfback. Davis turns, hands again to Hall. Hall will be stopped right around at the line of scrimmage. It was 34 Jaden Hood who made initial contact. Good play by him to burst through the line of scrimmage.
And Benjamin Hall was a star in last year's spring game. I think he has a Blake Corum-esque build. You know, he's short, but he's stocky. And I think they could really use him in a similar way to Corum because he has shown flashes of being a great running back.
Michigan still trying to figure out the running back situation behind Donovan Edwards. Now, Khalil Mullings, who returns, will certainly be a big part of that. But Ben Hall making a case that he could be right there with him. So 3rd and 5. Davis in the pistol will turn, hand again to Hall, who is brought down immediately behind the line of scrimmage. That is Dominic McNichols off the edge with an excellent tackle to stop Benjamin Hall for a loss of 2. It's 4th and 7 now. These defenses are really showing out to start this second half.
Yeah, I think we're seeing especially great play from the trenches and the edge rushers. I think they're just doing really well at beating their man, getting out there. I think that kind of goes to show that this offensive line is still very much a work in progress. But it also shows that Michigan is just very, very strong in the trenches.
Michigan.
You can see players like Kumba coming on, making a big impact immediately.
So 4th and 7, no punting. Davis in the gun, Hall to his right. Davis takes the snap, looks left, still looking left, rolling right, will fire to O'Leary, who almost made the catch. Will lose control of it, out of bounds, so the Blue will turn it over. Excellent effort there by O'Leary, though, right on the edge of the out-of-bounds marker to try and make that play. It was broken up by Jair Hill, the defensive back. Love to see Davis roll out there. That was really the first opportunity he got this game to make a play. Made a nice throw to O'Leary, who made a nice effort, but good defense there from Jair Hill.
Yeah, I agree. I did really like the throw from Davis. I think it was thrown pretty much perfectly. I think it was found by O'Leary well, but just great effort by Hill to make the play. Definitely one of the contenders for that extra corner spot.
Absolutely. So the Maize offense will retake the field. Been going back and forth in this part of the field to start this second half. We've got about 5.5 to go in the third quarter. So Jaden Denegal will again take quarterback duties for the Maize offense. Haven't seen Davis Warren yet. This is the second drive for the Maize offense. Denegal on the single back turns hands. That is Tavier Dunlap, who will scamper for about 5. Nice opening run there from Dunlap.
Yeah, I think Dunlap kind of switching up his bruising style just a little bit there by kind of waiting and then finding that opening.
So 2nd and 4 for the Maize offense. You mentioned it. The offensive line seemed to be struggling a bit, which is expected. Michigan doesn't return any starters from last season. And this is a Michigan team that in 2021 and 2022 won the Joe Moore Award for their offensive line. So different look for this upcoming season up front for the Wolverines. Denegal will take the snap, will end arounds for the first down. That'll be Frederick Moore for the Maize. Nice play on the end around. I like the play call. Moore going left to right for the first down for the Maize.
Yeah, and I think Moore has the sort of build that Michigan has looked for in its wide receivers the past few years. He's on the smaller side, but he's speedy and he's a good route runner, so expect a lot of Roman Wilson, Ronnie Bell-esque action from him.
So first down Maize. And they are at their own 47-yard line. Denegal stays out there. He's in the gun. Now in the pistol as Dunlap moves behind him. Denegal takes a snap, turns, hands to Dunlap up the middle, gets some room. Dunlap past midfield will be taken down at about the 48-yard line. So Dunlap running hard. That's a gain of 6.
Yeah, and I think Dunlap is sort of figuring out where those openings are rather than just sort of running straight into the trenches, I think. And it's really impressive because I don't think his start time is necessarily later. I think he's starting his runs at the exact same point in the snap, but I think he's just gotten better at getting that instinctive read and figuring out the hole as the game has progressed.
Absolutely. Good vision there from Dunlap on the run. Same formation here, the pistol. Denegal right in front of Dunlap. 2nd and 4 for the Wolverines. Denegal takes the snap, hands to Dunlap. Dunlap runs into his own man, but eventually makes his way right to the first down marker. Should be a first down. So it is called a first down. Fresh set of downs for the Maize as Dunlap picks it up. They are at the Blues' 42-yard line. First time this half that either team has crossed midfield.
Yeah, and still not a lot of action being drawn up for Denegal specifically.
Yeah, Denegal, both these quarterbacks really just handing the ball off a lot so far. In motion for the Wolverines is Greg Tarr. Denegal takes the snap, turns, hands to Dunlap, who got walloped right away in the backfield. Looks like Vihaan Easwar was in on the action. Dunlap never had a chance when he got that ball. Was handed and immediately took a hit. That is 58, Vihaan Easwar. So good play from him. It's 2nd and 13 now, a bit of a setback for the Maize offense.
Yeah, the D-line has been extremely quick today. They seem to figure out where the running backs are going to move and are there pretty much immediately after the ball is snapped.
So Bryson Kuzdo will be in the backfield now, taking over RB duties for Dunlap. He's to the left of Denegal in the gun. Denegal takes a snap, will be back to pass. Denegal looking, throws over the middle. That ball is nearly intercepted. Jeremiah Beasley, the defensive back in coverage, seemed like the ball went right to him. Looked a bit surprised. Denegal just missing over the middle.
Yeah, and yet again, you see a lot of restraint from Denegal. When he's not just handing the ball off, he's throwing low. He's not throwing too far up. And I think it's a play calling decision because I think maybe they want to rest his arm capacities, but still a little puzzling as to why, when you have this quarterback who's clearly a different mold from the rest, why they're not necessarily giving him more to show why that difference could be a good thing.
Absolutely. A lot of handoffs so far. So 3rd and 13 for the Maize offense from the blue 46. Denegal in the gun will take the snap. Looking over the middle, will fire to O'Leary, was a bit behind him, incomplete. So 4th and 13. We'll see if the Maize want to punt here and maybe get their special teams involved, and it looks like that will be the case on a 4th and 13. So first punt for either team so far for this game. Score is still 7-3 blue as we're approaching the end of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and I think so far the scrimmage has revealed a lot more about the defense than about the offense. It's showing us that there's some real contributors on this defensive line, even if they don't necessarily jump right off the field themselves.
Tommy Doman will send the punt deep. O'Leary catches it for a fair catch at the 10. So that is where the blue offense will take over. Really stagnant 3rd quarter for both these offenses. Like you said, Vihaan, the defense is really showing out. We had 1 turnover as Jaden Davis will resume quarterback duties for the blue offense. Would love to see him, would love to see his coach open the playbook for him. The freshman QB at the front of a lot of Michigan fans' minds as this program undergoes an overhaul. Denegal under center, single back. O'Leary in motion. Denegal turns. Play action will roll right. Denegal still rolling right. Will throw it away. Didn't have anybody. Good job by the freshman to get that ball out of his hands. Was facing immense pressure there from Eno Etta, the 6'5", 295-pound defensive lineman. Davis, good job to get it away.
Etta's yet another person, just based off that physique, who has potential to be a major contributor on this defensive front.
So that's the end of the 3rd quarter. Rather uneventful, I must say, 3rd quarter. But like you said, I think there's a lot to work with on this defense. But the offense is relatively stagnant. When we come back, it'll be 2nd and 10 for Jaden Davis in the blue offense. It's still 7-3 blue.
Yeah, and like I said, with regards to Denegal, I like some of the things that we saw from him on foot. But the few passes that he threw were fairly underwhelming. I think, like I said, it's very cautious. There's a reason that he's not necessarily throwing the ball very hard or very fast. It's a lot of short yardage throws, but even those haven't really looked particularly sharp.
Interesting also, we haven't seen Davis Warren come out for the Maize this half. It's been only Denegal.
Yeah, and Warren was fairly solid in the first half, had some pretty good throws.
Yeah, Warren wasn't bad. And Orji as well for the blue we haven't seen come out. So it's just been Denegal and Davis. It's the Jadens stealing the show here at the Michigan Spring game.
Yeah, and I guess just going off of based off what I think the coaches are thinking of, I think they've seen some things from Orji. They've seen some good things from Orji. I think his one drive on the field was probably the best of any quarterback drive we've seen today. Well, I think that's fairly explanatory by the fact that it resulted in a touchdown. So I think it's more like, okay, we don't necessarily need to see more from Orji. Let's look at who we're still not too sure about based on this game.
I think the staff knows what they have from Orji. They know what they have from Davis Warren. These have been 2 guys that have been in the program for multiple years.
Yeah, and I think what's somewhat inspiring is the fact that all these quarterbacks have shown some kind of ability on their feet. Even if it's mostly just been rollouts, I think that's just such a big part of the way that Michigan played last season. And I think it's just good to kind of maintain that philosophy.
Michigan fans enjoying the sounds of Mr. Brightside. It's come to be the Michigan football anthem over these past couple of seasons, and get a little reminder of it here in late April. Not typically what you think of football season, but the spring game bring a lot of Michigan fans out, and this weather, the overcast, we're in the mid to high 40s. This reminds us of an October, maybe a November Saturday. It's kind of a good reminder of just the aesthetic that Michigan football brings on this city, on this campus.
And, you know, it's funny because when you hear a song about a man who's paranoid that his girlfriend is cheating on him, your first instinct isn't necessarily to think about football, but
that's true.
Somehow it's become an anthem for many American for millions of American college students. It's an anthem in the United Kingdom. I believe it's the longest charting song in the United Kingdom, even though the Killers are a band led by a man, Brendan Flowers, from Las Vegas.
Interesting. I did not know that.
The song has had a huge impact all across the world, and it's been adopted as an anthem by Michigan fans and by many football fans.
Absolutely. A little deep dive there brought to you by Vihaan Easwar for Mr. Brightside. Good to know. I mean, this certainly is the anthem for Michigan football. Pump It Up also, I think, deserves its credit for the impact it's had. Yeah. Student section, again, not entirely full, but we've got a good concentration of what I would assume are Michigan students near the bottom of the student section. Also, fans are scattered around the stadium. So a solid show out here. There was tailgating before the game.
Yeah, as the station's resident 2000s indie alternative rock enthusiast, I
there
felt
you
the
go.
need to drop some information. But
absolutely.
Yeah. Moving things a little bit more back on track. Yeah, I think there just hasn't been enough tape from the offense in this half and in this game as a whole to really get an idea of what really works. We haven't seen a lot of pass plays. I think the one end around with Frederick Moore was refreshing to see, but again, kind of reinforces what we already know about his play style.
So Jaden Davis will retake QB duties. It is 2nd and 10 for the Blue offense. Davis turns and hands to Donahue for a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Looks as though we moved to a 15-minute quarter to close things off.
We have moved to a 15-minute quarter. That's what it's saying on the scoreboard. So 12-minute quarters for the first 3 quarters, 15 for the last quarter. It's 7-3 Blue. The Maize face a 3rd and 7 from their own 13. Davis in the gun. Would love to see a drop back scenario here. Davis will drop back. Here comes the blitz. Nicely picked up there. Davis airing it out. We'll find Klein, who breaks a tackle, and will get the first down. Marlon Klein for the Blue. An excellent catch and run there. Just shed a tackle super easily. Never really broke stride. And first down for the Blue offense. And now Alex Orji will check in at quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if they're going to be drawing up a similar approach for Orji. They drew up a lot more run-focused plays for Orji in the drive that he was on, so I'm curious to see if they'll do that rather than letting the other quarterbacks show their mobility mostly through rollouts as they have.
So Orji will hand to Henry Donahue for a gain of 2. Orji stays in there. So Blue with a nice 3rd down conversion to Marlon Klein, who is a name that's been buzzing around Michigan fan circles as a potential weapon on this offense. Again, Colston Loveland has locked up that starting tight end position. At this point, one of the premier tight ends in the country, but the wide receiver room, the rest of the pass catching is a bit uncertain for Michigan, so Klein could certainly step in there and make an impact. It's 2nd and 8 for Orji. I formation for the Michigan Blue. Donahue is still the tailback. Orji turns hands to Donahue. Donahue rumbles past the 30, right at the 30. Gain of 3, so 3rd and 5 for the Blue offense.
Yeah, and I think going back to what you said about Loveland and Marlon Klein, I think using a 2 tight end set worked dividends for the Wolverines last season with Loveland and A.J. Barner.
Absolutely.
And I think you can expect to see more of that approach. I do think that they're going to work in Max Bredesen into a 2 tight end set because he provides more of the build of that stereotypical old school tight end as a blocker with a fullback background, but I think Marlon Klein is another option for that role.
So Orji in the shotgun, 3rd and 5, big down here for the Blue offense. Donahue to his left. O'Leary comes in motion. Orji takes the snap, drops back to pass. Looking, firing over the middle, way over the head there of Owen Klein. And that has been a question mark surrounding Alex Orji, has been his arm. Looked good there in the pocket, seemed to be aware of his surroundings, but fires well over the head of Owen Klein. It's 4th down, and the Blue will punt it away.
Yeah, and I mentioned this on a DSR sometime last week, but I think today what I want to see from Orji is not necessarily the accuracy. I want to see if he has the power. I want to see if he's going to be the Cam Newton, Anthony Richardson type build of the mobile quarterback with a big arm. So
the question, though, I do think is that accuracy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to see if he has that kind of arm strength in the first place. Based on the buzz, it seems like he does. But I'm curious to see it in action.
So Tommy Doman punts it away for the Maize. Fair caught by Keyshawn Harris. So the Maize offense with an opportunity to take the lead. It's 7-3 Blue. No scoring so far in the second half. It's been a relatively stagnant second half offensively for both teams. And Davis Warren will retake quarterback duties for the Maize offense. So for the first time in this second half, Warren will come back. Dunlap remains as the tailback for the Maize offense. Warren will start 1st and 10 from the 30 with Dunlap to his left in the gun. Warren takes the snap, hands to Dunlap. Dunlap scampering. Nice run here as he breaks some tackles. Gain of about 12 as Dunlap broke 2 tackles right up the middle for a Maize first down.
Yeah, Dunlap I think he's been the best performing running back on the day. He's ran well. Like I said, he's shown both that strength and that vision as the game has progressed.
So the Maize with an opportunity here. From their own 42, it's 1st and 10. Davis Warren remains in at quarterback. Dunlap remains in as the halfback to his right. So got 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Warren takes the snap, drops back. Here comes the blitz. Warren fires, had a man but missed him. Warren was backpedaling. Kendrick Bell, the receiver on the left side, broke away from his defender on what seemed to be a miscommunication for the Blue defense, but Warren was facing immense pressure. Had to fire that ball off his back foot, incomplete. It's 2nd and 10 for the Maize. I do think Davis Warren looks more poised at that quarterback position, Vihaan, in this spring game. He's looked confident. He's looked aware. So Warren from the gun, Dunlap to his left, turns hands to Dunlap. Dunlap finds a hole. Dunlap across the 50. Dunlap still going, and he's eventually tackled by Shamari Stone, but not before he gets a first down and a lot more. The Maize offense is now into Blues territory at the 48-yard line. So Tavier Dunlap really showing off the footwork in this second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I think he's probably been the best performing running back of the day. We haven't seen too much out of Cole Cabana. I haven't
seen him at all.
We haven't seen him on the field at all.
Yeah.
And Donovan Edwards, as expected, did not play too many snaps.
So Dunlap behind Warren in the pistol. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Warren takes the snap, play action. He's back to pass. Warren firing it deep left side. It's a touchdown for the Maize. Trying to get a number on who that was caught by. That's Kendrick Bell, who broke away from his defender. Davis Warren fired a dot into the end zone for a 48-yard passing touchdown as the Maize take the lead. It's 9-7 pending the extra point.
Yeah, and I think Davis Warren has been the most pleasant surprise of the day so far.
Absolutely.
I think going into this game, not a lot of people were talking about him as a potential option as that starting quarterback. I think it was more about Alex Orji and Jaden Davis. But Warren has come on. He's thrown well. He's thrown efficiently. He hasn't necessarily shown that mobility that some of the others have, but simply in terms of his arm has looked the best today.
Certainly. Davis Warren has looked really good at quarterback, like you said, Vihaan. Tavier Dunlap as well, the halfback with Warren, as the Samaha extra point is up and good. So Maize takes a 10-7 lead. Davis Warren with an excellent throw there to Kendrick Bell. 48-yard passing touchdown for the Maize. First score of the second half for either team. The Maize lead it 10-7 with just over 10 minutes to go in the game. I think Davis Warren has really set himself apart today, Vihaan. He has looked the best out of all the quarterbacks. And I think for many who thought this competition might have been between Alex Orji, Jaden Davis, and Jack Tuttle, who did not suit up today, Davis Warren has certainly made some nice plays during this spring game.
Absolutely. Very clean throwing motion as well.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of uncertainty there. Gets his read relatively quickly and manages to find that opening.
So the Maize will kick off to the blue.
And I want to say good creation of separation from Kendrick Bell to stretch the field and complete that touchdown catch.
Yeah, Kendrick Bell got away from his defender, and that was the second time that happened on that Maize offensive drive where the receiver just got away from their defender. So possible miscommunication there for the blue secondary. So Maize kicks off to blue. He's got a bouncer here. Ball is corralled there. And we'll get a stoppage of play. I think we'll just get a touchback. That was Benjamin Hall who fielded it. And the blue will take over. Alex Orji back out there taking quarterback duties. Ben Hall will be out there for running back duties. It's 10-7 Maize. Blue looks to respond to the deep Davis Warren touchdown. Needed that, a jolt of energy in what otherwise has been a stagnant second half. So Orji goes back to work for the blue. In the gun, he's got Hall to his right. Got Marlon Klein on the edge of the line for the tight end. Otherwise, two receivers to the right. Orji turns hands to Hall. Hall finds a hole. Hall past the 35 up to the 38-yard line. Good opening run there from Benjamin Hall.
Yeah, Hall was the star of the last spring game, as we mentioned previously. I believe he had over 100 yards rushing. And good chance for him to show someone who is well-respected and well-regarded in the Michigan program.
Absolutely. So nice run there for Hall for the first down. He'll stay out there with Alex Orji. Hall to the right of Orji in the gun. Orji takes the snap, hands to Hall. This time he is unable to find an opening. Taken down at the 39-yard line. It'll be a gain of 1. Would love to see Michigan open this playbook up for Alex Orji, get him in some rollout situations. Got to test the accuracy of that arm. We know what his physical attributes are.
Yeah, and I think it's also been a fairly conservative game in terms of the type of run plays being called. It's not necessarily one-dimensional because they've figured out something that works for them, but you would like to see maybe just a little bit more pitches or end-arounds from the running backs.
Certainly. So two receivers to the left. Orji hands to Hall again, who pulls some defenders as he crosses the 45 up to about the 47-yard line. So it's 3rd and 2 now for the blue offense. Big play here with just inside 8.5 minutes to go in the game. And as much as this is a scrimmage and coaches are trying to test out players in real game situation, these players want to win this ball game. So 3rd and 2 for the blue offense. Orji I formation, Orji under center. We've got one receiver to the right. That is Dale Chesson. Orji takes the snap, turns, hands to Hall. Hall, unable to make it to the marker, is about 2 yards short at the 46-yard line. Got to think the blue offense is going for it here.
Yeah, and Hall running the ball not necessarily as physically as Dunlap is, but again, showing a lot of the great vision that Blake and Donovan Edwards have demonstrated. And I think it goes to show that the comp to Blake Corum in terms of size and style of play is accurate simply in terms of style. Not necessarily saying that he will be have the exact same type of impact, but they can be similar running backs in terms of their play style.
Definitely. So one receiver to the right. Orji in the shotgun, big 4th down and 1. Orji turns, hands to Hall, who will be stopped well short. Hit by a swarm of Maize defenders. And a big turnover on downs for the blue as the Maize regains possession.
Yeah, and I think the momentum has really swung the Maize's way so far in this game. And also, I've noticed a lot of rollouts by the defensive line. I think they'll mostly find one side to stick to and plug it in rather than necessarily going down the middle. And I think it shows an adaptation to the run-heavy philosophies of both teams. I think it shows what the philosophy of the Wolverines is going to be overall, especially in a Big Ten conference full of teams that play a similar style of football. Although, with the additions of the West Coast Pac-12 teams, who obviously play a lot more pass-focused offenses, you'll see probably some adaptability there, but I think it's an interesting thing to take note of.
Definitely. This Michigan defense has been all over the place for both teams.
And Owen, you mentioned that Michigan won the Joe Moore Awards in 2021 and 2022. Yep. Last season's Joe Moore Award winners were Washington, who also have a very different offensive line as they enter the Big Ten.
Dunlap receives the handoff from Warren, will scamper ahead for about 1 or 2. So the Maize retake possession. Still a one-possession game. It's 10-7 the Maize lead. They are in plus territory. 7 minutes to go in the game. Gotta think a touchdown. I don't want to jinx anything. Although both these teams are Michigan, so we're not really rooting for anybody. But gotta think a touchdown might end this game just based on how the Blue offense has been looking this second half. As well as the fact that we've only got 6.5 minutes to go. So Davis now in the gun. 2nd and 8 for the Maize offense. Had to be a false start there. A lot of movement on that left side of the line, and we will get one. Looked like it was the left tackle, 71. That is Evan Link. Entire left side of that line moves, so it'll be a 5-yard setback for the Maize. It's now 2nd and 13.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite a false start, everyone but the center, as we've seen called in the NFL a few times last season, but it was close enough.
It was close. A lot of miscommunication there. All right, so Maize, 2nd and 13. Warren still quarterback in the gun. We've got 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Warren takes the snap cleanly, looking back, scrambling right, going backwards, fires it complete and caught to Frederick Moore, who goes to the left. He's got some room. Moore down the sideline, past the 10, past the 5, into the end zone for that touchdown. Maize extends their lead to 16-7, pending the extra point.
And that's what Frederick Moore does so well. Is he necessarily going to get all the way down the end zone and make those physical Calvin Johnson-esque plays? No. But he's shifty. He's going to use the side. He's going to use the speed. He runs a great route, as we saw by some of that movement. He sort of lined up in a strange place on the right side of the field.
He crossed the field.
But then crossed the field, stretches it. And I think that's what he does so well, and that's what I'm seeing with that Roman Wilson-esque build.
And how about that throw from Davis Warren? A little improv. As he was facing pressure, threw that, kind of dumped it off to Fred Moore, who was open. About 10 yards downfield, and Moore did the rest. Scaling the width of the field from right to left, just outrun every defender. So got some help from his Maize blockers as the Samaha extra point is up and good. So Maize extends their lead to 10 with 5:59 showing on the ticker. We'll see if Blue can respond here. They've been stagnant offensively.
And as we said earlier, I think the biggest riser in today's game is Davis Warren. I think, again, we're seeing the way he throws the ball. It's clean. It's efficient. It's not always going for highlight reel type throws, but he just throws a ball he throws an aesthetically pleasing ball.
He does. And those past 2 possessions that both ended in Warren passing touchdowns have looked great for him. So I think Davis Warren, if you're going to have any takeaway from this game, folks, Davis Warren should firmly be in this QB competition. Do not overlook him. I know people are excited about Jaden Davis, and they have all the reason to be. But Davis Warren is very much a part of this QB situation in the post-McCarthy era. All right, so Maize kicking off the Blue. It's 17-7 Maize. Here we go. The kick is up, and fair caught by Benjamin Hall. So the Blue will take over. It will be Alex Orji who will retake QB duties. Ben Hall is also out there. He seems to be a spring game legend. He's like taking every snap for the Blue offensively now. And like you said, last year is the start of the show.
He lives for this.
Yes, he does. Spring game, Ben Hall. Two things you can't separate.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and chocolate,
Spring
milk and cookies. The spring game in
Spring-
Ben Hall.
Exactly, exactly. So Orji in the gun, Hall to his left, Klein in motion. Love that last name. Orji takes the snap, looking back, throwing, completes it. That is to the tight end, Zach Marshall. So nice little dump off there from Orji to Marshall for a gain of about 7. Going left to right on the drag route. Brought down there by Jaden McBurrows. So 2nd and 3, Orji takes the snap. Looking right side, firing to Klein. That's complete. Klein for the first down and more is drug out of bounds at about the 41. So back-to-back completions for Alex Orji.
Yeah, and Marlon Klein is looking to add to the lineage of Kleins who have been successful at the University of Michigan. We have
come on.
women's soccer coach Jen Klein, Michigan Wolverines tight end Marlon Klein, and WCBN Sports legend Owen Klein.
One of those folks is not like the other. One of those sits in a booth and watch the others play and coach. But Marlon Klein, native of Cologne, Germany, the city I had the pleasure of visiting last summer. All right, so 1st and 10 from the 40. Orji in the gun, takes the snap, looking, firing left side. Klein again will be taken down. They're hard hits. Klein taken out the 46. That was a hard hit, and Klein is down. That was number 14, Cody Jones, who looked like there was helmet-to-helmet contact there, and you got to hope that Marlon Klein is okay. Took a nasty shot to the head as he will make his way to the sideline. Looks like 14, Cody Jones took an awkward angle to hit Marlon Klein, and we will quickly resume play here, but got to hope Klein's okay. He's on the blue sideline. That's a risk that comes with a full contact game.
Yeah, absolutely, and Klein has fulfilled his duties when asked to this game so far.
Absolutely. Orji from the shotgun, back to pass. Orji firing. Tight window there, unable to connect with Zach Marshall. Jair Hill was on the coverage there for the Maize. It'll be 3rd and 3 for the Blue. We've got 4.5 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, Marlon Klein has that frame you'd expect from tight end at 6'6" and weighing 250. But again, very light, very shifty play style. Not necessarily a bruiser, but excels at finding space.
Definitely. I think him and Loveland will be a nice tight end duo this year.
Absolutely, yes. And as I've been saying a couple times on the broadcast, I'd like to see Bredesen Blodden as a blocking tight end.
Absolutely. So Orji from the gun again. Takes the snap. It's 3rd and 3. Back to pass. Orji rolling right. Still looking. Still looking. He'll tuck it and run. Close to the first down marker. Scampered out of bounds at about the 50. See what the call is here. Gain of 1. It's caught. It'll be 4th and 2 for Orji in the Blue offense. And naturally, they will go for this. So 17-7 Maize. Got to think if Blue wants to make this competitive at the end, they got to get this first down. Orji in the shotgun, Hall to his left, 3 receivers to his left as well. Orji takes the snap, back to pass. Quick throw is caught and complete by 42. That is Jalen Hoffman, who extends this Blue drive. Hoffman went in motion pre-snap, left to right, just burst out into open space, caught it, got the first down and more. So fresh set of downs here for the Blue offense. Orji again from the gun, Hall to his right, takes the snap, looking, firing. That is caught by Dale Chesson. And if that name sounds familiar to Wolverine fans, there's a reason. Dale Chesson is the brother of former Michigan, I would say, legend, J.U. Chesson. As Orji back to the line quickly, takes the snap, back to pass. Orji will be sacked in the backfield by 52. That is Liam Gruhl. Or that's Keyshawn Bennett, excuse me, who got the sack. We have the touch rule with quarterbacks, but Orji went down there. So 3rd and 10. We've got a timeout here for the Blue. As Wink Martindale will take a timeout. Martindale serving as the head coach for this Blue team. He's the new defensive coordinator for Michigan after Jesse Minter departed. Martindale was in the NFL for the previous 20 years, most recently with your New York Giants, Vihaan, and before that he had some success with the Baltimore Ravens from 2012 to 2021.
Yeah, and as I emphasized, there is a pretty significant Baltimore Ravens lineage when it comes to Michigan. There's been a lot of interplay between the two teams, most notably Mike McDonald, who had a fantastic first season as the Ravens defensive coordinator, which landed him a coaching job with the Seattle Seahawks. And I think there's a lot of similarities between the football that both the Baltimore Ravens and Michigan have played historically. You know, they're both teams that have excelled on defense, lineage of very good running backs. I think there's a lot of similarities between the two programs.
Certainly. There certainly are. Talk about Jesse Minter, a guy coming over from Baltimore before he came to Michigan. Obviously, you got John Harbaugh, head coach for Baltimore, brother of former Michigan head coach Jim. So a lot of connections between those two. Orji in the gun will take the snap, back to pass. Looking, firing, complete to Marshall, the tight end, for the first down. So Alex Orji has made some nice throws in this drive for the Blue. All have been the tight ends. There he connects with Zach Marshall for the first down.
Right, and I haven't seen any clear gaps in Orji's accuracy so far. Of course, that's a product of the play design, but he's been pretty clean.
Orji again connecting with the receiver here. That is Dale Chesson for the second time this drive. Blue offense working quickly, and Orji completing passes. That's a gain of 5. Ball is on the 25-yard line for the Blue. Orji again in the gun. The Blue offense loves that formation. Orji takes the snap, back to pass. Firing left side. It is incomplete. Trying to go upstairs to Peyton O'Leary. Had to stick that left arm all the way out. Unable to corral it. It's 3rd and 5.
Yeah, and I've talked a fair bit about Peyton O'Leary on this broadcast because, like I said, I really like the dimension that his size adds. I'd like to see him use a little bit more of that size. Like maybe not necessarily push off, but maybe try and get ahead of his defender.
Absolutely. So 3rd and 5 for Alex Orji in the Blue. We've got Dale Chesson to the left as receiver, O'Leary to the right. Looks like Marlon Klein is back in the game. Interesting choice there for Michigan. Orji back to pass, throws it complete. That is Chesson, who is tackled at the 14. It'll be a first down for Michigan. Gain of 11. So Chesson getting involved here from the 14-yard line. Just over 2 minutes to go in the game. Blue quickly to the line. Orji takes a snap. Here comes the blitz. Back to pass. Fires it to Klein. Breaks a tackle. No, he does not. He trips. Good tackle there in space.
Yeah,
that was Jacob Oden on the tackle, sorry.
Marlon Klein, if you'll notice, very good at creating separation, which something you don't necessarily expect from a lot of tight ends who mostly just try and fight their way through the trenches. But Klein has almost always had an opening every time they've needed to throw from him. And there's a fair bit of distance between him and his defender. I think that's something that he's done really well today.
And to that point, he's also showed the ability for run after catch. I
mean,
he's breaking some tackles today. He's got some speed. So Klein there helping the Blue offense approach the end zone for what they hope is a touchdown to end this ball game.
Not necessarily a bruising running style from Klein, as I emphasized with some of the other players on this team, but shifty, athletic, and yeah, I like what we've seen from him. I think he's been one of the better pass catchers today. I think the best pass catcher of the day obviously is to go to Frederick Moore, who fantastic game from him.
Yeah, he's been great. Moore has been great. I love the production from Dale Chesson for this specific drive, the 6-0 grad senior. Continue what I was talking about earlier. Chesson is the brother of former Michigan stud J.U. Chesson. So with the Wolverines in the mid-2010s, I'm sure many listeners remember J.U. All right, so 17-7 Maize lead. We've got 2 minutes to go in the game. Orji, 2nd and 1 from the 5. Orji takes a snap, back to pass, fires in the end zone, broken up there. Good play by Jair Hill, the defensive back, to break up that pass intended for O'Leary. Looks like we have a flag on the play. Not entirely sure.
Yeah. Jair Hill is definitely going to be one of the big contenders for that nickel corner slot. I believe he comes from a track background, so he's very speedy, as is the same with Keyshawn Harris. I think there's a lot of very speedy defensive backs on this team.
Certainly. So no flag on the play, excuse me. So it'll be 3rd and 7 for the Blue. Ball on the Maize 11. Big down here if Blue wants any chance of making this thing interesting as we approach the late stages of this game. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to WCBN Sports coverage of the 2024 Michigan Spring Game.
Yeah, we've had a great time covering it. We've learned a fair bit about this team. I think we've seen a lot of good things, especially in terms of the quarterbacks, with both Warren and Orji having very strong games. I think there's a lot good going on with this team.
Certainly is. Back to the action. 3rd and 7 for Orji from the 11. Klein in motion. Orji takes the snap. Back to pass. Orji firing. Caught at the 5-yard line by Marshall. He'll be taken down by 3 Maize defenders. It's 4th and 1 from the 5. Orji quickly to the line. In the shotgun, Hall to his left. Big down here for Blue. Klein again in motion. Orji takes the snap, back to pass. Orji tucking it, running it. He's got room. Orji will scamper into the end zone for the Maize touchdown. So Alex Orji in the blue on a big 4th and 1, making this thing interesting near the end. We'll see if an onside kick happens. So it's 17-13 pending the extra point.
Yeah, and I think there haven't been too many designed runs for Orji, but I think when he's gotten them, he's taken those opportunities and slammed them.
So Orji was actually touched, and that's the rule here. If you are touched as the quarterback, you're automatically down. It's one-hand touch football for the quarterback. So that entire rushing touchdown play will be erased. And it will be a turnover on downs for the Blue, so take everything away. Score remains 17-7 Maize. And the Maize will take over with Davis Warren at quarterback from their own 12. We've got 1.5 minutes to go here in the game. Warren in the shotgun takes the snap, hands to Tavier Dunlap, who will maybe get 2 yards, maybe 3. We've got a timeout for the Blue to stop the clock. So 1 minute, 23 seconds to go in the game. It's a 2-possession game. 2nd and 7 for the Maize, who lead it from their own 15. Quick timeout here for the Blue.
Yeah. I think at this point you have to imagine that the Maize are going to look to just sort of run the ball, sort of control the game, grind down that clock, and secure the win. The win that you can put in quotation marks because it's a Michigan-on-Michigan scrimmage. There's no hard feelings here.
Nope, no hard feelings at all. Although I know these guys want to be competitive. But it's been a fun time to come out here and get some rare football in the springtime. Would have loved the weather we had last week. But we're just grateful we can be here in Michigan Stadium as Davis Warren and the Maize are in victory formation. Warren will take the knee. So the Maize will win this one by a score of 17-7. As we are all but finished with this spring game. Davis Warren has really looked good for the Maize at the quarterback position. I think, if anything, Warren made the quarterback battle for this upcoming summer much more interesting. I think you add him to the mix. 2 passing touchdowns for Warren.
Right, and we'll go more into this in the postgame, but I think there's a lot to like, just a few things to be concerned about after this game. We have given not necessarily the most exciting game in terms of the score, but we've been given plenty to ruminate on.
Certainly. So we're getting some logistics sorted out here on the field. 32 seconds to go. 3rd and 9. And again, Davis Warren and the Maize in victory formation. This should be the last snap of the game. And that is it. Maize will win this spring game 17-7 behind 2 passing touchdowns from Davis Warren. As that concludes the 2024 Michigan Spring Game, I want to thank you for tuning in here on WCBN Sports. Michigan coming off of that national championship, but facing a major overall, and we got a glimpse of what the Sharon Moore-led future looks like for this Michigan Wolverines program, Vihaan.
Yeah, and I think in terms of things that I liked, I think obviously we talked about both Davis Warren and Alex Orji. I think they both proved themselves significantly in this game. I think Warren, as I said, looks to be a clean, efficient passer. Orji, very athletic and not bad as a passer. I think he necessarily wasn't given a lot to do, but I think what he did do, he did well. Now, I think if you're Jaden Denegal, you'll come away a little disappointed, but also there just wasn't a big enough sample size to really make a judgment one way nor the other. And I think Jaden Davis did fairly well in the time that he was given. I think, as I said, I think this entire quarterback room has a lot of athleticism, even if for some of them we only really saw rollouts. I think pretty much anyone on this team that could start quarterback is capable of scrambling and getting that first down, which was a huge, huge, huge part of the team under J.J. McCarthy. Now, I think another position group that's given us both things to like and to be concerned about is the wide receiver room. I think Frederick Moore, I think Chasten, I think are some of the bigger winners. But I think one concern that I have as a whole of this wide receiver room, their size kind of came through today. I think this is a small wide receiver room, and while that did work out for Michigan this season, I think you may need to wonder, is it maybe time to look into adding another bigger body just to twist things up a little bit? And I think O'Leary can be that player to an extent, but even he's only 6'3". I think, in general, this team is small in the receiver room, which is why I think it's great to have a guy like Frederick Moore who's fast, who's shifty, who's a good route runner. I think, like I said, really, really like Frederick Moore. I think he has the potential to be a great wide receiver 3 from this team. Then, like I said, defensive line, very, very satisfied with them. I think, as I said, they were really great at plugging the runs. I think there were guys like Aymeric Kumba, who I wasn't sure how much we were going to see, did a very great job. Some guys like Eda, who I'd have liked to see a little bit more from, but as a whole, no really big complaints from the defensive line. And then on the offensive line front, I think they were work in progress, and it showed in this game. I think there were a lot of holes that were on display here. And I think all in all, strong showing from certain position groups, others a little bit more to work on. And I think this team is going to change significantly. And will all of those changes be for the better? Maybe not, but at least they have a deep pool of talented players to draw from in a lot of these positions.
They certainly do. We got a lot of questions answered for this spring game, but also, I would say, Vihaan, this spring game created additional questions for Michigan fans and this Michigan program. But one thing we know for certain is the Wolverines will be back here on Saturday, August 31st to open up their season against Fresno State. WCBN naturally will be on the call, so be sure to tune in for that. Vihaan, any last words?
Well, they're not necessarily about the game, but I think they're about something even more important. So for those of you who are listening, Owen Klein has been a huge, huge part of the station for the past 3 years. He was the first friend that I made on the station. I did my very first broadcast with him, Penn State men's basketball, about a year and a half ago now. Time flies.
It does fly.
Huge contributor, great broadcaster, great friend to everyone in the club, very involved in social events throughout. I think we at WCBN are all going to miss him. And Owen, I think I speak on behalf of the entire club and all of our listeners when I thank you for the many, many contributions that you made to the station.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vihaan, for those kind words. WCBN has, to echo Daniel Olson, who also did his last broadcast for softball yesterday, WCBN has been more than a pillar of my college career. And it's for people like you, Vihaan. It's the connections you make, the friends you make along the way for a shared passion of Michigan athletics and sports in general. Sports bring people together, and I think WCBN is a prime example of that. Now, for the last time, I'm Owen Klein, joined alongside Vihaan Easwar. We'll say good afternoon and go blue for the Michigan Spring Game from Michigan Stadium. Take care, folks, and be sure to return to WCBN on YouTube August 31st, Saturday, when Michigan opens their season by welcoming in Fresno State. Until then, take it easy, folks.